All right, the jingle has sounded. The gentlemen are in their seats. JV Wins Dogon SS. We are back with another video on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody tuning in, joining us, hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, leaving those comments, engaging with the content in the videos. We certainly appreciate it as we continue to rock and roll. Want to, of course, kick things off as always by saying you can also check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We are available in all of those spaces as well. So if you aren't in position to check us out on YouTube or watch any of the videos, we know how it is if you at the desk at work. Manager and the boss roll around, they see you watching the video, they think you're not working or being productive. Trust me, I know how it is, man. We all got to fake the funk when we doing this 9 to 5 BS. So if you are in that position, but you love checking out Conscious Approach, man, just check out Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. You can hit us up on the audio version so that you don't give the illusion that you're not being productive just because you like to play a little video in the background while you're getting your work done. Otherwise, major shouts out to everybody who has been supporting this logical content as we continue to organically grow this community. We appreciate any and everyone who has engaged with the commentary and the content. Without you, this wouldn't be possible because we do it for the love of the game. We do it off the muscle. And we have noticed a consistent string of people who contribute to the growth of this community. And it does not go unnoticed. So from us to you, we certainly appreciate it, man. We could have stopped doing this a long time ago. Trust. Money is not a motivation. Fame, clout are not motivations. We just like giving opinions and takes on stuff and seeing what everyone else has to say about it. Even if you don't agree with what we have to say, we welcome the engagement because we're not trying to, this is not a cult. We're not trying to have a community of people who agree or think like us. We just want to exchange information and encourage diversity of thought. So with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. First thing that we are going to talk about today is friend of the channel in more ways than one, LeBron. We routinely broach LeBron on this channel for obvious reasons. Not the biggest fan of the guy personally. If you like LeBron, I feel sorry for you. But LeBron, was trending last week because he went on Pat McAfee on ESPN. He was flame throwing everywhere. He discussed his orchestrated, rehearsed spat with Stephen A. Smith at the Lakers game and went into deeper detail on how he feels about Stephen A. Smith and where he was coming from. But then he also did weird things like take subtle shots at people I thought he was cool with, like Brian Windhorst. He also took an opportunity to add context to how he feels about some of the early things that went on in his career. In particular, his first stint in Cleveland, when he was the linchpin on the team, and he was on teams that won a lot of games and did a lot of winning and advanced far and went to the finals. And there was an interesting part during that particular part of the interview with Pat McAfee that I did want to bring up here on the channel today. I can't wait to hear what Dogon has to say about this particular thing. So at one point, everyone's, the GOAT, King James, LeBron, he expounded on how he feels about some of those earlier Cleveland teams and how he feels as though it's even crazy that some of those teams made it to the finals. And a lot of people, myself included, are interpreting this as LeBron jumping on that, how did I make this happen when I didn't have any help train? So let's go ahead and play this sound from the Pat McAfee interview from last week, and then we'll go into how we feel about what Mr. James had to say here.
Listen, man, during the ball drop, during the lottery drop, Cleveland got the number one pick. I just don't think that was.
Yeah.
That was just
What are you?
what a coincidence!
Don't you see?
Wemby with the Spurs.
man,
That
like,
wasn't a coincidence.
oh my
Derrick
God!
Rose,
Let's keep LeBron home. You know what? Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. You know, Derrick Rose to the Bulls. Like, I understand the assignment, guys. I had to make sure that, I had to do my part. I didn't want to be a fuck up. I just didn't want to be a fuck up, man. Like I said earlier, Wine was able to take the team. I was 22 years old. I had a moment in Detroit where I went insane, 25 straight, 29 out of 30, and took a team that you look back at our roster, you're like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah.
How was that even possible?
There's a lot of those, but we don't want to dive into all of them. You were at the finals 45 straight years.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it got to the point that final season, I was like, I've maximized this potential.
Yeah.
I've squeezed all the juice out of this damn lemon here. And I know it. And in order for me to get to where I want to get to, I have to make a choice for my career going forward. And Miami was the best choice, at that moment. I felt like it was the best choice for me. The conversation I had with D Wade, had with Bosh, had with Udonis Haslam, D Wade and UD had been there. They had won, had beat Dallas. They had been in some big playoff matchups with Detroit, where Detroit beat them and then they beat Detroit, and things of that nature. And then you look at the big four that Boston had. Everybody talk about the big three, but everybody always decides that for some odd reason that Rondo wasn't as great as Rondo was.
Yeah,
it's always just the big three.
He's from Boston.
Not me.
LeBron's
always saying
they say
that.
the big three, but fucking Rondo was when he was a dog. He brought it all. He made it all work with those guys.
All right, that's enough. You get the idea.
What's going on with this?
So yeah, he said he feels like he maximized everything he could. And, I don't know how you interpreted that, but it kind of seemed to me as though he was low-key saying, the NBA wanted me in Cleveland. Otherwise, I would have preferred to be somewhere else. But since they put me in Cleveland, I wanted to do my part. So God bless LeBron, the benevolent benefactor, right? For doing his part to maximize what he could in Cleveland before deciding to do what's best for his career. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, let me start off there. Tonight, yeah, I took that the same way, and that adds credence to my theory. Me, I think the NBA does collusion, and Cleveland was already tanking in order to have that position or whatever, in order to get LeBron, but it was pretty much, it made sense for them to try to juice up that market. So historically they weren't winning like that. So to have a up and coming superstar to be, the face of the league, in Cleveland, hometown thing. Yeah. So he mentioned that, Derrick Rose to Chicago. He mentioned somebody else, but
Patrick Ewing
to the Knicks. So the NBA does its thing, and there was so much collusion around that in order for the Knicks to get that pick. So yeah, the NBA does this thing for its, collusion. They do their thing because they're a narrative-based league, unfortunately. Then we get to the part where he's acting like he maximized what was going on. Now, mind you, this is the favorite argument for LeBronites.
It's one of the big ones.
Yeah, that he was, constantly year after year dragging a team full of scrubs to the finals. Now, I think everybody, especially if you were aware at that time, the East was traditionally weak, and honestly, it still is. But especially back then, the East was really weak when in terms of competition. LeBron is and let me say this: LeBron is a great athlete. He is good at basketball, but he's not what the league and the narrative that the league was spinning. He's not that character. He's just not. He just doesn't have certain factors within him that they're trying to make him the greatest of all time. He's just not that. He's just a really good basketball player. And so since he was a really good basketball player in a weak East, he was already in a pretty good position to be streamlined, at least playoffs bare minimum, and then see what you can do while you're in the playoffs. So his first couple years, whatever with the roster, but they started getting guys. I'm not going to sit here and, whatever, but, Ilgauskas was no scrub, especially in the East. He was no scrub, hell, they had got Antoine Jameson. They had got other people. They were just, Mo Williams. They were just loading up on guys that could ball. And, they were showing Drew Gooden there like he sucked. Drew Gooden was good. I mean, he was decent. He was a good, glue guy.
He wasn't somebody who you would say got dragged. That's the
right.
point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Delonte West, as troubled as he was as a person, and allegedly smashing on his mom's. That guy could ball too, man. Delonte West was a hooper. So, and you got to put things in perspective. I think when people think that, he was dragging a team full of losers, is this whole notion of super teams. Big threes, big fours. And that's another thing that he does. See, this is this guy. And him throwing in big four with Boston, it gives a more of an excuse of why you lost to Boston, because it's four guys. Oh, people want to no. Rondo wasn't Rondo yet. He was balling. You know what I'm saying? And he was exceptional. And yes, he was like the glue or whatever, but it was a big 3-4. It was called a big 3 for a reason, because it was 3 Hall of Famers certified already when they got together. And it was just, Rondo was a rookie. And so he wasn't enough to be big, a part of the big conversation. But, here he goes. And of course, hindsight, people can go, oh yeah, Rondo was on that team. So it's clearly a big, this guy, he just does all of this talking just to make himself look like this otherworldly person. And if he's this otherworldly person, then he should drag a team full of scrubs to the finals, but he should also win. He should also not pass the ball in a because I was sitting there hoping that this guy would be good, but he would pass the ball in clutch moments. He would turn the ball over in clutch moments. He would miss big shots. So it was this thing where, like, year after year, it was like, you know what? I don't think this guy's got it. As talented as he is and all this other extra stuff, I don't think he has the factor. Last thing I'll say before I let you go, speaking on the factor, it was one of those sayings, man. If you play basketball, man, you don't have to play professional or whatever. You just hoop or whatever. And, if the game is tight and there's certain people that don't want the ball, and then, somebody will yell out, either that's playing or on the sidelines, and they'll say, he don't want it. And you can see the nervousness in that person, the way they dribble or whatever. They were dribbling normal the rest of the whole game. But when the game get tight and it's game point and people starting to lock up and play defense, this guy doesn't want the ball anymore. And that's LeBron. He shrinks in big moments. You're not 1 for your last 29. Oh, I'm sorry. He's 2 for his last 30 since he got a point blank tip in. So they're gonna count that. But he was 1 for his last 29 on game winning or game tying shots. You can't be the greatest basketball player of all time if you're missing those things. So that whole interview with Pat McAfee was a sharp show. I missed this portion of it, but for him to be throwing his teammates under the bus, throwing Cleveland under the bus like that, I just think to me, it exemplifies why people don't care for him as a person, because he's very, in my opinion, quite narcissistic and arrogant. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir LeBron? Around here saying that, hey, man, he had a team full of bums, basically. What are your thoughts, bro?
I think it proved to me what I already suspected about him, which is he reads his press clippings.
Yeah,
He knows he knows what his media narrative is, and he takes advantage of it. Now, to be fair to the conversation, I think most players today are well aware of what their media narratives are, and they base certain decisions with their careers off of their knowledge of their media narrative. And as you alluded in your opening statements, I think one of the biggest issues with the NBA is it of all of the major domestic sports, the NBA is the one that sort of traffics in narrative based commentary 24/7. The other professional leagues do it to a certain degree, but it's not nearly as much. Every single event or outcome or result in these other sports, there isn't automatically an immediate referendum on top 10, top 5, Mount Rushmores, greatest ever, all of these weird things that they only do with the NBA. The NBA traffics in that stuff more than any other sport. And so, because of that, I think players have responded by orienting their careers around the knowledge of their media narratives. It's the reason why I believe Kevin Durant went to the Warriors personally. Now, I don't know if we'll ever learn this. I don't know if he'll ever admit this. I personally believe Kevin Durant went to the Warriors because he knew that one of the more corrosive aspects of NBA commentary is, oh, we're going to slot you down here because you didn't win this many championships. Right. And Kevin Durant is saying, well, I'm better than almost anybody who's ever played skill-wise. But you're going to say that this guy's better than me because they won a championship or two? Oh, and so that he tried to reverse engineer the process.
Right.
So he said, let me go join a team that pretty much assures me a great chance to win so that they can't use that against me and slot people who I'm better than above me because they won and I didn't. Mm-hmm. So that was Kevin Durant reading his press clippings and saying, oh, I'm not going to allow this particular aspect of my media narrative to get the better of me. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, he didn't foresee that it was going to blow up in his face. And essentially what people ended up doing was discrediting those because he was on a team that couldn't lose. Mm-hmm. He didn't really see that could be a possibility. He figured as long as he got the rings, people would shut up about other people being better than him because they won rings and he didn't. Mm-hmm. And clearly he underestimated the machine and its ability to kind of sift through that and say, oh yeah, you may have won, but you stacked the deck. So these are various case studies throughout modern NBA history in which we can look at players sort of detecting and following along with their media narratives and then making decisions in their careers based off of that. And in the case of LeBron, parroting a lot of the speech of his media narrative. He only feels comfortable saying that on McAfee because he is well aware that a lot of people in the media who are credible have already said that and have been saying it for a decade now. He didn't have enough help. This and this and this, and he didn't win because he had to drag these guys and they didn't show up for him. He knows that people say this stuff. So because he knows that people say this stuff, he feels emboldened. He doesn't feel uncomfortable to go onto a main stage like that and parrot that speech because no one's going to disagree with him. At least no one credible. The LeBron acolytes in the media, to which there are many who are credible, agree with those sentiments. Therefore, they're not going to chastise him for saying that. So he can just have free reign to say it without fear of any consequences. And it's total BS. And here's the thing that I'll say about it. If you look throughout the history of, I would say, modern NBA history, so basically from the late 70s until now, the vast majority of teams that win are teams that stack the deck. So the Celtics in the 80s stacked the deck. The Lakers in the 80s, they stacked the deck. The Bulls, obviously, in the 90s were stacking the deck. The 2 years that Jordan went out, Houston, they won back-to-back, but they stacked the deck. The Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, they stacked the deck. The NBA historically, in modern times, is teams that stack the deck are the teams that win. You know, even the Celtics with Garnett, Pierce, Rondo, Ray Allen. You know, they stacked the deck. PJ Brown was on that team. He was still good at the time. They stacked the deck. The Lakers with Kobe and Gasol stacked deck. The Spurs every year they won stacked decks. So yes, in modern history, the NBA teams that win championships, they stack the deck. But the teams that didn't stack the deck but still made it far and lost didn't get the benefit of the no help card. And that's the thing that you have to pay attention to. So I bring up people like Allen Iverson in 2001. When they lost, no one gave him the he didn't have enough help card. Tracy McGrady was a great player who was on teams that was projected to go further than they did. There was that one team in Houston, I believe they were up 3-1, I think against the Mavericks, and ended up losing a 3-1 lead. And they were favored to go far, and they had a pretty good team, and McGrady was the driving force. Yao Ming, who just couldn't stay healthy by and large. That was supposed to be a thing, but Yao Ming was in and out of the lineup, always hurt with his bad feet. And they went up 3-1 one year in a series and ended up losing that series, right? They had a pretty good team comprehensively. And when they ended up losing, it was just Tracy McGrady didn't get it done. There wasn't this thing of he didn't have enough help. So even amidst the NBA's modern history of teams that stack the deck and win, when there are these spotlight moments of teams that advance but still lose, led by a team who's a great player, no one was saying that player didn't have enough help, despite everyone understanding that historically throughout the NBA in modern times, you win when you stack the deck. So if Iverson can't get the no help card and McGrady doesn't get the no help card, all of a sudden, why does LeBron get the no help card? And what led to me starting to resent LeBron as a player wasn't he himself, it was his media narrative.
Correct.
All of a sudden, he was getting the benefit of these ridiculous constructs that no other player, despite being in that same position, got the benefit of.
Correct.
And I'm trying to figure out when did we move the goalposts and create these new rules, and why do they apply to this guy and this guy alone? And you don't even have to go to just Allen Iverson. You don't have to go to just Iverson or McGrady. Look at James Harden. James Harden is a guy who personally I'm not the biggest fan of. But during his years in Houston, when he was scoring all of them points, racking up all of those numbers, getting MVPs, he was on teams where they won a lot of games in the regular season and were projected to go far in the playoffs. And then they would lose to the Warriors or the Spurs or somebody else. And when that happened, who was saying no one came to help James Harden? Who in the media was saying James Harden did all he could, he just didn't have enough help? No one was saying that. What everyone was saying was James Harden didn't get it done. James Harden didn't come through in high leverage moments in the playoffs. James Harden didn't get it done in the clutch. He's a regular season player. He is behind the all-time greatest list of two guards, behind Kobe and Wade and Jordan. That's what they said about James Harden. Ain't nobody say he didn't have enough help. So why do we have this rule change when it comes to this one guy in LeBron to sort of substantiate why he doesn't get it done? And that's why I came to resent him, because it doesn't make sense. It's almost as if the media preemptively shoehorn him into this place of all-time greatness.
Yes.
And then when he started messing it up, you had to come up with a rationale in order to explain why it was messed up. It couldn't be because he just didn't get it done. It had to be because he didn't have enough help.
Correct.
And that pissed me off because we didn't do that for Iverson. We didn't do that for McGrady. And even though I don't really like the guy, we didn't do that for people like James Harden, who was the driving force on his team when he was in Houston. James Harden was averaging 35 a game for a season. The season he won MVP, he averaged 35 a game. Nobody did that since Kobe. So it's that kind of weirdo stuff. And he's very well aware. He is keenly aware that is what they say about him. And so because he's keenly aware, he has essentially carte blanche to echo that speech now, especially because he's at this point been here for so long, you know, who's gonna say no, LeBron? That's not right. That ain't true. Who's gonna challenge him at this point? 20 years, 40 years, 40 years old? Ain't nobody gonna challenge that. So now he's actually starting to vocalize this stuff that the media has been giving him the benefit of the doubt for this entire time. And I think it's disgusting personally. But and this is why I root against his better interests year after year, because as a fan, it really doesn't matter what the outcome is. Because when he wins, it'll be because he's the greatest ever. And when he loses, it'll be because it's the coach, the teammates on the roster, or the GM or the owner messing it up for him. I can't wait to hear what people are going to say when they lose this year. Whose fault is it going to be? Luka? Is it going to be Luka's conditioning?
They're already blaming Luka.
It's gonna be Luka's conditioning. It's gonna be Austin Reeves isn't a good enough third option. It's gonna be JJ Redick was a first-year coach and he wasn't ready for the big moment. These weird narrative stuff that these talking heads say, I can hear it now. It's gonna happen. So I'm just here. I got my popcorn ready and I'm waiting. But if you think for a second that LeBron is not aware of what these gas bags say about him in the media, you are sadly mistaken. And it's unfortunate because it diminishes the contribution that a lot of those players that did play with him, who did not get dragged, made towards that formula. And it's unfortunate. And if I was a teammate of LeBron's, I personally would be offended that I get grouped into this category of somebody that has to get dragged by him, because no one dragged me. I did my job. He passes the ball to me. I'm open. I make the shot. That's my job. He's not dragging me because I did my job. But this is why I never bought into the idea that LeBron is polarizing. For the vast majority of his career, he has benefited from a very pro-LeBron media. Do not give me Skip Bayless as your one example of somebody who wasn't on LeBron's side, because the vast majority of the mainstream, mainline media has been singing this tune for the last 20 years. And I have said it before, and I will say it again. I am counting down the days until this guy retires.
Yeah, hey man, well said, bro. And but that's it's the same thing where I talked about Tim Tebow in the past. The media did the same thing with him when he played for Florida. He could do no wrong when he was in college. He could just do no wrong. Tom Brady, he can do no wrong. He can throw 3 interceptions. All of them were the receiver's fault.
Yes.
It was disgusting. And so those people are easy to dislike. But what makes it worse is when the athlete themselves play into it.
Yes.
And then they sit there and go, yeah, they're right. And it's like, no, hey, man, no man is perfect. You know, everybody's out there, you know, whatever. Jordan would openly admit, and not to compare him, but it's just whatever. I mean, but Jordan would, you know, openly admit and take accountability when he didn't show up or he didn't play the best game that he could, and, you know, whatever. He doesn't, you know, take that opportunity to throw everybody else under the bus, call everybody else scrubs and losers or bums. You know, the guy, he does this. He's done this historically. So when he made his decision, and then came down to Miami, man. It was a mixed bag for me. I was excited because, you know, it was a whole sweepstakes thing going on. So I was excited because, oh, hey, we won. But then on the back end of that was like, well, here comes the circus. Here comes the circus. Here comes Wade getting blamed for stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't take long. It didn't take long at all. And you know, they started blaming Wade for stuff, for sure, blaming Bosch. They were just, you know, throwing blame. And hell, he was on you know, LeBron was on Mind the Game with JJ Redick sitting there talking about that the Heat wasn't a super team. The Heat. Oh, we couldn't do much with that roster. What are you talking about? You know, oh yeah, well, you know, I guess it was so top heavy that they had to, you know, round up a bunch of scrubs and losers, and you know, it was tough. And it's like, nah, man, there's an excuse everywhere you go. Just this for like this, LeBron fans. Which NBA finals did LeBron hit the big shots, do all the stuff. I mean, have the historical things. That comeback that they have on the Warriors. That was all Kyrie. Look, LeBron, he's good at doing what he does. He's a problem. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's not. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he gets things done. But at the same time, while accomplishing his stats, it takes away from other people. He's still a bull in a china shop. He's a you have to account for him. But at the same time, his skills was never refined. People can say, oh yeah, he's got more of a post game now, and he's got more of this, and he's cleaned things up. But overall, he still bullies his way to the basket. He still commits offensive fouls on a regular basis. His defense historically, when he played for the Heat, he was hacking everybody. And this is as a Heat fan. They was like, oh, great defense, LeBron. I was like, that was a foul. Just openly swiping, hitting the guy's arm, all kinds of stuff, no calls. It was gross, man. So this guy here, historically, he's never really been a good defender, especially now. His plus minus nowadays is an absolute joke. Oh, he's 40. Give me a break. Everything, and that's another thing. There's always these built-in excuses. Now he's 40. Whenever you give him criticism, oh, what do you expect him to do? Hey, man, this guy's still outrunning 20-year-olds. Okay, I don't know how he's doing that. Anybody wants to sit here and say, oh yeah, he's just that good, and it's like, nah, man, I don't think so. I honestly think that this guy, I feel as though the league allows this man to do whatever he wants when it comes to enhancements. Okay, because there's a clip out there, man, where Kevin Garnett has said it, man. He was like, man, I don't know what LeBron got. He on that new juice. He on something. Because I'm sorry, man. People's bodies started breaking down historically in their mid-30s. I mean, they're done by mid-30s. And this guy's still going. There's other guys who's still going right now, and I've got my eyebrow raised on them too. But when LeBron came into the league, the narrative started. Knew he was the cash cow, and like you said, they propped this guy up, and it's basically like a Ponzi scheme. And you can't admit that this guy can't show up on big moments, because if you do that, then your whole product collapses. And so they put everything on him. And so that's why he had to be the face of the league for 20 years. So, so the NBA, LeBron, the whole collusion, it takes away from actually trying to enjoy basketball. And the mere fact that this guy wants to sit here and play into the narratives, egg it on, and he genuinely believes it, it's disgusting. And last thing I'll say is, like you said, oh, who they're gonna blame? Luka. They're already blaming Luka. They're saying, oh, Luka's defense. This is why the Mavericks gave him up, because he can't play defense, and he's this, he's that, he's out of shape. It's now he's out of shape. Before, it was the steal of the century, guaranteed Hall of Famer, all this other stuff. And now, they lose a game here, lose a game there. Now it's Luka's fault. It's never LeBron's fault for literally throwing the ball to Josh Giddey. It's not LeBron's fault for having one of the most egregious turnovers in a high pressure situation. Austin Reeves was showing more gonads than this man. Austin Reeves wanted the ball. When Austin Reeves hit that go-ahead basket before Josh Giddey got the ball, there was a play where LeBron flared out, but he had the alligator arms. He didn't want the ball in that moment. He just didn't. Austin Reeves came up and got that ball. So when Austin Reeves has more of a clutch gene than LeClutch himself, it makes you wonder. It's like, how goated is this man if he doesn't want the ball in a regular season situation. So, yeah, man, I don't care. I don't buy the facade. This guy he's like an industry plant kind of guy. I mean, of course he's good, of course he's talented, but he gets the buy-in from the machine like an industry plant. And that's why I told you before, he is the Drake of the NBA. And so all of this theatrics, all of these aesthetics, but no heart, no real soul in his game. And to me, that's the part about it that it turns me off from all of this stuff. But hey, man, have at it. Him trying to drop F-bombs on Pat McAfee just adds to his tackiness. I'm just over it, man. I'll be really, like you said, man, I'll be really glad when he's out of the league.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, he's just gonna up the ante and get in the media somehow.
That's fine. I can deal with that. I don't want to deal with every year this constant obsession with the viability of his team's championship possibilities. That's what I'm tired of, because year after year it's the Lakers can do this and that, and it's really born out of the media's hyper obsession with having it universally regarded that he is the greatest of all time. And the only way that can happen is he continues to win, is if he wins more. So that desire, I believe, is what fuels this obsession with every team he plays for. And I'm tired of that. So even if he goes into the media and starts mediating up, I don't care. He'll just be away from playing. He'll be away from competing. And I don't have to deal with the machine of greatest of all time and more of these counting number compilations and all of this BS. It's his media narrative that makes me resent him, because I think that it is diametrically opposed to where he ought to be properly slotted. And that's not to suggest that he's supposed to be regarded as merely a great player or however you look at it. He's an all-time great, but there is a tone that is associated with his career that has been set in stone well before he actually started to become a truly great all-time player, and it has persisted over time, and it's just gotten to the point where it's annoying. And now he can feed in. Like I said before, he's keenly aware of it, just like most of these other players are keenly aware of what the gas bags say about him. And now he can just parrot the speech in public with no fear of any sort of reprehension. He can just do it because he knows the majority of the pro LeBron media is only going to agree with everything he says. Like, I don't know. It's certain things I'll never get over. Like, I don't see how you can be in 2009. Cleveland was 66-16 in the regular season. Like, if you remember, that was the year that we were supposed to get Kobe and LeBron in the finals. It was the 2008-2009 season. Cleveland went 66-16 in the regular season. You cannot be a team in which one person drags a bunch of bums if you win 66 games in a regular season of 82 games. You don't have a roster full of bums if you're winning 66 games. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. No one player is so good that you single-handedly are winning 66 games in a season. That's absurd. So they won 66 games in the regular season, went 66-16, and what ended up happening? They matched up against the Magic in round 2, the semifinals. They didn't even get to the conference finals and lost. And they said LeBron didn't have help. So how can you be a prohibited favorite, but then when you lose, you don't have help? Those two things to me don't make sense. That's like putting chocolate in a mixture of ice cream, eating it, and then saying, I don't taste the chocolate. The chocolate is there. You put the ingredient in there. You can't be a prohibited favorite and then lose, and it's because you don't have help. You're either good enough to be a prohibited favorite or you're not. But because it's LeBron, they had to come up with these rationalizations. Oh, he didn't have enough help. They didn't come to help him out. Kobe did his job. The Lakers got to the finals that year. They just didn't play. They just didn't play Cleveland. They played the Magic because it was the Magic with Dwight and Rashard Lewis and Rafer. Yeah, Rafer and Hito Turkoglu that whooped that ass. I'm over this, bro. And then like in the 2014 finals, mind you, it was the same exact roster as the year before when they beat the Spurs. The same roster, except they added Rashard Lewis, but it was the same roster. And then the Spurs spanked us. The greatest margin of victory up to that point in the history of the finals was that year. The Spurs waxed the Heat. And LeBron is cramping on the baseline, can't even play in some of the games. They got to drag him off to the sidelines because he's cramping. They got to take him back to the locker room for fluids because he's cramping. And then we lose. And what do they say? He didn't have enough help.
Yeah.
Same guys the year before that we won. But now LeBron didn't have enough help. So yeah, you're damn right I champion him losing every year because I've resented this the entire time this guy's been in the league. It's disgusting.
It's gross.
And I'll continue to resent it until he goes away. So for as long as he continues to play in the league, I am going to rail against this dude because I used to just blame the media narrative. Now I blame both him and the narrative because now he's doing goofy stuff like this.
Yeah,
because now he's even saying, "Oh, I didn't have help." So yeah, until he goes away, I'm gonna continue to beat on this drum. And to any of y'all LeBron fans who don't like it, go to somebody else's channel because you can kick rocks. I don't care. I can't wait until he retires because enough is enough. This stuff really has to stop.
Have you heard those LeBron love songs, bro?
I refuse to listen to them.
These guys are making LeBron R&B songs where they're lusting over him, literally, and it honestly crystallizes LeBron fans. And so, of course, I heard one begrudgingly as I'm sitting there listening to it. It makes, when you're talking about the majority of LeBron fans, they're in, like I said, they're in this bubble of fandom where they are literally fanatics. So there's really no arguing with them. There's really no debating with them. Everything you say that is it's like a religion, bro. It's a cult.
Yeah.
And so whenever you try to give them truth, facts, try to steer them in the direction, try to help them look at things objectively, they call you a heretic. And they call you a heretic. Try to splash you with Diddy oil.
Yeah, they want to burn you at the stake.
Yeah, man. So, hey, man, ain't no party like a diddler party, as LeBron said. So, hey, man, have at it, you guys. You guys seem to love all that oil. And yeah, man. But yeah, I can't stand the narratives either, man. So
it's ridiculous, man. Yeah, I cannot wait until this guy retires. I cannot wait. Because they'll still be saying what he is, but at least I'm not gonna have to deal with it from season to season with him being an active player. I really cannot wait. I can't wait.
Lord have mercy.
Go away, bro. I'm tired. I'm tired of this guy, man.
Sheesh.
Okay, moving on. We got Waka Flocka, who's a friend of the channel. And Waka Flocka was a guest on, what's the name of this show he was on? I don't even think the article mentions. Oh, It's Giving. So Waka Flocka was a guest on the It's Giving show. It's a podcast. Everybody has a podcast. Make sure you keep checking ours out.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, please do. And he was asked a question. You're on a boat with your wife and your child, and both go overboard. You can only save one. Who do you choose? And Waka Flocka didn't hesitate. He said, I'll choose my wife. And that got the internet up in a tizzy. People are debating back and forth about the merits of his comments. So we'll go ahead and actually hear what Mr. Waka Flocka had to say. Now, the host of the show agreed with him. But it's split. It seems to be split in terms of people who see the logic inherent in his comments, and then others who are appalled by what he had to say. So the This says the wife or the kids. Waka Flocka's answer creates more social media backlash. Waka Flocka has ignited a heated debate after sharing his stance on a hypothetical moral dilemma. While many challenged his perspective, others rallied to his defense. During an appearance on the It's Giving podcast, the Atlanta rapper was asked to make an impossible choice. If he were on a boat with his wife and child and both fell overboard, who would he save? Before the host could even finish the question, he responded without hesitation, "My wife." He declared, "That's my wife. I loved my wife before I loved my child. How can I choose my child over someone who created them? Respectfully, I can make another one. I cannot recreate the woman I love. It's impossible." He doubled down on his position, emphasizing his belief in the sanctity of love. You can't play with love, real talk, and this isn't for people just figuring out relationships or moving in together. This is real. So I know that child wasn't meant for me. Despite not currently being married, Walker's remarks ignited a passionate discussion across social media. Some echoed his reasoning, while others found his stance deeply flawed. So here is Walker in the flesh, and this is that exchange.
Scenario: you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean with your wife and your child, and it's still a young child. Both of them get lodged into the water.
My wife.
You're gonna save your wife?
Yeah.
Why?
It's my wife.
Period. That's it.
I love my wife before I love my child. How the f could I choose my child over something or someone that created you? I come respectfully. I gotta make another one. Cause I cannot make the same woman I love. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Like you can't play with love. Like real talk. And this ain't for people that's inspiring to be loved or living in just bought an apartment with each other. The conversation, nah, it is real. So I know that kid, we wasn't meant for you.
I feel the same way.
Facts.
And you know, I got thousands of comments of people saying that's because you've never been a mother. You've never given birth yet. Oh, and he's going to divorce you in 3 seconds. And for me, it feels like a lot of these people are coming from trauma. Y'all don't really, and imagine if you treated your spouse with that level of regard, esteem, and respect. No, go ahead.
But you see what you just said?
Yeah.
How people gave you the opinion?
Yeah.
You know how much power you could have gained just by saying, that's your opinion. I don't know you.
Oh, I don't care.
No, I'm just telling you, like, I'm telling you, if you could learn, like, it don't matter because they throwing you off your game. You drifted. The one thing the devil loves the most is people that drift.
True.
So when you got purpose, your purpose was you, being real, how you feel. You explain why you said it, done. Move on.
Period.
Now, I do agree with that last part.
Yes.
I agree with that last part. So I'm saving my wife. We can make another child, wrote at Nigel Thorne, Bear E on X. At Florida Boy 69 added, harsh reality of an ethical dilemma. You can create another child, but it's not nearly as easy to find another wife once you got a good one. On the other side of the debate, many were stunned by his logic. At Cordelra countered, no parent wants to be saved over their child. At Real Air J weighed in, writing, I'm saving my son, then I'll try to save my husband. My child comes first. So that's pretty much the gist of that. You know, some people are rocking with those sentiments and others are like kind of feeling like it was a little suspect. So what did you think about that particular exchange?
Wow. First of all, I think that is a horrendous scenario. Let me go ahead and start there. To make somebody say that while they're in a relationship with somebody, if he answered one way, you see, there's no winning to that answer. The kids are going to see that response. It's going to go viral and get circulated around the internet. Now, respectfully, he can just make another one of me. You know, my daddy don't love me like that. You know, he loves, all this other stuff. Look, man, if you do love your wife like you love your kids, unconditionally, then there is no conditions to the love. And then at that point, picking your wife is like picking the best child, for instance. So in that situation, that's what I'm saying. That's a horrible scenario. to actually choose to make somebody say that. And honestly, I would have pled the fifth. This is a damn podcast, not no damn. You know what I'm saying? A podcast called It's Given with some middle-aged single woman with no kids. So I'm not answering her ass because she has nothing to go home to. If she does have a man or something like that, it doesn't sound like she's married. So I'm not. And this is a situation when dealing with people that ain't got nothing to lose, putting you in a position. And so yeah, it was no win for him either left or right. If he picks the kids, his wife gonna be mad at him. He picks the wife, the kids are gonna be mad at him. And so honestly, man, I just think that is a horrendous setup. And Waka, I guess he's just gonna keep it 1,000. He's gonna keep it 1,000. He's not gonna back down from any hypotheticals. And he's just gonna dive in that water and let everybody know that he's choosing his wife, and he's gonna make it another one. Me personally, I really think, and this is not me choosing one or the other or any of that stuff, but I really think it's a situation where children represent, or they should represent at least, all of you for sure, but they should be the best parts of you, and be better than you, and add more to the world than you did. You had your shot if you're in a situation where you got a wife on a boat with a kid. You did your job as a parent, and it's that child's time to do their thing and add to the canon of life. And to just say, I'll just make another one, it to me, it doesn't highlight the sanctity and the importance of putting your all into your offspring. I'll just do it again because they're just offspring to me. To me, that's not extending the legacy. It's selfish. But what are your thoughts, man, on Waka Flocka around here taking the bait on It's Given and saying that, hey, man, I'm going to choose my wife and to hell with the kid? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I feel that. Let me first say that I am not defending him.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, I think the reason why I think him saying that is a referendum on where we are today with the concept of love. If love is even a thing that you still believe in. Like I think people have become so disillusioned by the current state of unions and family and relationships and marriages that people are just over it and they're turned off. You have a lot of people walking around who just don't even think that that they'll ever actually meet a life partner or have one. You have a lot of people who find the prospect of a life mate so unrealistic that they don't even think about incorporating it into any of their life's pursuits. Like, relationships nowadays, unfortunately, and not everyone does this, but a lot of our population orients their relationship lives in such superficial, non-committal, loose moral ways that the notion that you can actually find something solid is becoming more and more of a fairy tale with each passing day, month, and year. You know what I'm saying? And so the reason why I'm kind of going galaxy brain on this, but I feel as though the reason why he responded so strongly in that manner is because he's looking at the world and how broken down we are from a family values, marriage, and relationship perspective, and saying this thing is such a precious commodity at this point that if I've actually been fortunate enough to attain it, I'm going to have to preserve it, even if that means sacrificing my child. Now, I'm not defending it. I'm just trying to explain the pathos. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, I feel like people really are that disillusioned when it comes to the concept of love. Like, you have people who are still holding out hope and they still believe in the notion of love and finding it. And I think a lot of those people are dealing. I think the people who still believe in it, I think they still try to seek it in a traditional way, but they have found themselves thrusted into a world surrounded by humans who don't conduct themselves in terms of their relationships in any sort of traditional way. So you have a lot of people who still believe in it and who still hold out hope, and they're trying to figure things out, and they're running up on people who are plugged into the matrix, who aren't off the grid, who are very much on the grid. And a lot of those people who are holding out hope are finding themselves saying, man, if I ever were to find this, what lengths would I be willing to go to preserve it? Because I don't know if I'll ever be able to find it again. Because hell, it took me this long and it was this hard to find it in the first place. Whereas having kids, as you and I clearly know, people are out here having kids like they're popping. People these days, people around here these days, not everybody, but a lot of people have become so casual with having kids outside of a family construct, being single parents, doing the co-parenting thing. People are approaching these things so casually these days that I'm led to believe that people don't really look at having kids as this precious thing that they once looked at it as. It's more so of this is a byproduct of me living my loose moral life. And so I'm going to make do with it the best way that I can. Now, that's definitely not consistent with those who look at it in the traditional sense, who do want to look for love and do want to build the family and have a solid foundation and then have the kids, because then maybe that choice becomes a more difficult one to make. But I think a lot of people look at love as a very fleeting concept these days. Most people don't even know if it still exists. Everything is situationship this, acquaintance that, casual this, polyamorous that, friends with benefits, F buddies, all of this kind of stuff. Everyone's doing that thing. Everyone's doing the casual being in the streets thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because so many people are doing that, who the hell knows what love really is? So maybe someone who still believes in it is looking at it saying, I'm willing to go to extreme lengths to preserve it if need be, even if it means having to make an impossible decision like that. So again, I'm not trying to defend it. This isn't my in defense of Waka Flocka dissertation in any kind of way. Maybe Waka Flocka is one of these dudes who really does believe in love. I don't know. I don't know the guy. But if he does, maybe he's saying this is so precious to me, I might have to make a sacrifice of that magnitude. Now, me personally, I tend to agree with you. I think saying I can have another one is just too dismissive for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's too dismissive of a thing to say, because children are a part of you, and they are meant to carry on your legacy, and they are meant to be an improvement. Like your children are meant to be greater contributors to the world than even you were.
Right.
Greater contributors to society than even you were.
Right.
That should be why you're having children, right? So to say I can have another one is very dismissive. And another thing that I'll say is, like, if you are a life partner with somebody and y'all really do got real love like that, the actual love, the true love, not this weirdo fake love, like actual love, then I'm going to bet that if y'all got a bond that strong, that person is going to want you to save the child too.
That's exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So you can be faced with the conundrum all you want, but if this is truly someone and y'all got a bond that is built on genuine love, your wife is going to want you to save the kid.
Exactly.
Your wife isn't going to want you to save her over the kid. So all the way around, I feel you. I don't even like the fact that the question was posed, and the way that he went about addressing it was to me a bit dismissive. But I also kind of look at it big picture, and I kind of feel like people have become so disillusioned with the prospect of love to begin with that now they're going through all kinds of mental gymnastics about what they may or may not be willing to do to preserve it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, man. And I've seen some content out there where people was like, oh, that the love that they have for their spouse is stronger than the love that they have for their own kids and all this other stuff. And I get it in principle. Okay, you don't want to be in a situation where you're only in it because you love the child. You want to be able to love your spouse and y'all have a relationship before you have a relationship with the child. Like, I get that. The child still has to be the child. Like, I get all of that, but at the same time, I don't understand where these talking points are coming from. Where there's this, I guess it's just a regular de-evolution that's going on in society where these types of talking points are becoming normalized on social media, where people are now starting to get into this more divisive form of looking at home and family.
Yeah.
I don't understand why outside of adding to the chaos, that this woman will pose such a question or have it be such a talking point for you. Why is this such a pain point for you that you want to go around asking people this? So I don't know what she has going on in her brain, but that's what I'm saying. For this to be something that you've asked more than once, you've posed this to people online. Now you want to ask Waka. I'm sure she's going to ask somebody else some other morbid question. I don't care for it. Of course, I love black love just like the next person. All right, I want to see all of that stuff. Whoop de whoop, and and I'll give you more of I can get. There's two ways to look at this. All right, there's the way that I'm saying where I'm going. Just plead the fifth and don't even play this game. But the way that and for the way to look at it, like how Walker's looking at it, now people's not going to like this, but you if you've chose that path of what he said, you have to keep walking down that path. You have to do life like that. And what I mean by that is, if you're looking at this as a situation of, okay, we'll make another one. We'll continue to be here and multiply. We'll have more than one. Oh yeah, well, we just had one there, and we would have not been together. But after that situation where I saved her, now we got 5 more. Now we got 5 people adding to the world and being better than me than just the one. While I'm not here to caretake for them, you can play all these little weird games. But what I'm saying, boy, you just go there with this mindset of being cutthroat with life because you're always looking at the bigger picture.
Mm.
And if you want to go down that path, that's fine. Me personally, I guess I took offense to it where, again, I guess how dismissive, like you said, it was when you say, hell, I'll just make another. And yeah, man. So to me personally, I don't care for the talking point. I don't like these types of conversations going on the internet, but people bored, man.
Yeah.
And an idle mind is the devil's playground, as they say.
Yeah.
And these people around here, like you say, they're struggling with love. They're struggling with family, and that's how these type of things come about.
Yeah.
And now there's this, I'm sure, online debate, in comment sections, and I'm pretty sure somebody's going to be letting me know how wrong I am for disagreeing with Walker. All right, but hey, listen, man, this romanticized version of love that everybody's been sold, this fictitious form of love that everybody's been sold, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's meant to make people weak, if you ask me. It's meant for you to not be clear. And yeah, man, I don't think that how people are going about loving is the right way. And last thing I'll say is, at your point where you said that, hey man, if y'all are really together like that, and this did become a situation like that, the mother would say that, and vice versa. You know, if somebody posed that to the woman, you know, husband man would be like, "Are you kidding me? Take the damn baby." You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about? You know, don't save my ass. You know, I'm the wretched of the earth. This baby has a new shot at things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I just think that this is a morbid take from this lady. I'm not really gonna blame Walk so much, but then again, you know, he's starting to get a little strange to me now.
Well, I mean, he did answer the question very enthusiastically.
That's
So,
what I'm saying, bro.
I mean,
Like,
I think that you, if you wanted to, can hold him accountable for that. It's not like
yeah, man,
it's not like he looked particularly anxious in answering the question. He looked very comfortable, almost like he already knew that he was going to be asked the question and had his answer locked and loaded.
he was enthusiastic about it for sure.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, honestly, this to me, it just spotlights the perilous state that relationships are in nowadays. And everybody is trying to find refuge. And in pursuit of that refuge, they're coming up with all sorts of weird forms of logic to test whether a person truly is worthy of and capable of giving love.
Yeah.
And so that's where it comes from. So, you know, a woman like her is going to ask that question because maybe she's experiencing the same sort of dysfunction in her own personal life where she can't figure out why she can't find it.
100%.
And a lot of people are dealing with that. And the thing that's so funny is people don't even realize that they can easily attain these things if only they were to take some inventory on themselves and change their preferences and their outlooks on life. And I don't know who she is. So I'm not going to be presumptuous to sort of be like, this is how she feels. But you look at people, there's, you know, some of these other people in the world, right? The Joy Taylors of the world, the Taylor Rooks. We talked about their podcast one time. And men do this too. We're mired in this quicksand where we intrinsically know we want something, but we go about finding it in all of the ways that pretty much guarantee we won't get it. So, you know, if you're a woman, you know you want love, but you're going about looking for it with men who match the profile of the kind of guy who's probably not going to give it to you. Yet you can't get out of your own way, so you continue to look for it in those same ways. And then when you don't get the result that you're looking for, you project and blame the rest of the world instead of saying, maybe I need to make adjustments with myself in order to give me a better chance to find it. And men do the same thing. We want what we want, but then we also want to make sure that the girl can do this and look like this and has this kind of body and this kind of face. You know what I'm saying? So we put all of these stipulations around it, pretty much assuring that we won't get it. And then when we don't get it, we blame women. Safari, Shaq. Oh, I would be relationship oriented if the women were like this. It doesn't make sense. So when we're all engaging in this madness, in this insanity, and we become so disenfranchised by the process that we lash out blaming the world instead of looking at ourselves, now you're saying, well, this thing is so elusive and it's so hard to find that I might be willing to do crazy things like sacrifice a child in order to get it and keep it. It all comes from the fact that people are so lost when it comes to modern relationships. Everybody, we're all lost. It's the programming, the media, the conditioning, the internet, the social media, the music, the mind control. We're all lost. We're all lost. And that being and being lost in that way is why questions like this come up and become fodder for internet discourse. So I'm with you. I don't like it either. But part of the reason why I don't like it is because I'm annoyed by the fact that people are even asking this question when they don't even realize that these various things that they are trying to find they could get if only they looked inside themselves and said, let me make a couple of changes with myself and how I look at the world, and then maybe I'd find it.
Yeah, 1,000, man. So we'll see what happens with this stuff, man. To me, I think this falls in the line of dangerous rhetoric.
Yeah.
There's going to be people who watch this, saw what Waka said, and go to their partner and pose this dangerous ass question. And if they don't answer like how Walk did, or if they did answer like Walk did, you know what I'm saying? This is a lose-lose situation, man. I don't see the point in this outside of it just being morbid internet, like you said, man, fodder for discourse.
Yeah.
So me personally, man, I just think that this is a bit of a reach. And don't take the bait, y'all. Don't go around asking this question to people because the answers are relevant. You know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. But hey, man, let us know down in the comment section, y'all. What are your thoughts about this conversation? You guys think that we're off base here? You think Walker's on base? You think this is a fair question to ask? Like, let us know down in the comment section, y'all. Me personally, I don't care for this, man. I think this is dangerous stuff. That's what I say.
Yeah, it is. I do think it borders on dangerous rhetoric. I agree with that. And I also do agree with some of the people who commented by saying, if you're not a parent or a mother, you don't really have you don't really have a well-rounded enough worldview.
Correct.
And sets of experiences to really participate in a conversation like that. I tend to agree with that too. But it is what it is. This is definitely internet conversation territory. But this, to me, it just completely spotlights how lost people are when it comes to their confusions over relationships. And people are only going to continue to get more lost. Everybody's running around looking for perfection in all the wrong ways and places. And they are their own worst enemy in that regard. So good luck to all y'all out there who still believe in love. I hope you find it. But if you're out here in these streets, chances are you're going to be answering questions like this. If you aren't already answering questions like this.
Facts. Crazy.
And moving on to Sean Kingston, a man who is definitively down bad.
He's down bad.
Yeah, and not only is he down bad, his mama down bad with him. So for anybody who has not been keeping up with Sean Kingston's legal troubles, he and his mother were found guilty on wire fraud charges, which is one of those white collar crimes that can get you bammed up for a significant period of time. This is a crazy set of developments, especially considering the fact that he, at least at one point, had a very vibrant career in the music industry. So this says Sean Kingston and his mother facing decades in prison after wire fraud conviction. Sean Kingston and his mother are both facing decades in prison after being convicted of wire fraud. The Beautiful Girls rapper and his mom, Janice Turner, were found guilty on Friday, which was March 28th, of one charge of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud each. According to CBS News, each charge carries the significant sentence of up to 20 years behind bars. Sentencing is scheduled to take place on July 11th. Kingston reacted to the verdict by writing on his Instagram stories, "Lately, they've been trying to break me on the daily," along with a face palm and broken heart emoji. Kingston and Turner were arrested in May 2024 during a raid on his Florida mansion after he was sued for allegedly failing to pay for a number of luxury items, which later unveiled the wire fraud scheme. The suit filed by Verver Entertainment LLC accused Kingston of scamming the company out of high-end electronics. In exchange for the electronics, which would have cost over $100,000, the 35-year-old allegedly promised to make promotional videos for the products with Justin Bieber, who he worked with on the hit song Eenie Meenie back in 2010. Kingston paid a $30,000 down payment for the goods and agreed to make a second payment of $47,000, while the rest would be paid for in the form of social media posts, the suit claimed. However, the rapper failed to make the second payment after the TV was installed and did not make any of the social media posts either, according to the complaint. Dennis Card, an attorney for the plaintiff, claimed that Kingston worked from a script to entice money out of people. He's got basically a script. He says that he works with Justin Bieber and that he obviously puts on a big show here. This is a rental house. He doesn't own it, and he lures people using his celebrity into having them release things without him paying for it, and then he simply never pays. He's 100% a scammer. He's on felony probation right now for trafficking in stolen property. He's got judgments against him for procuring more than $1 million in watches without paying for them. This is just an ongoing pattern for Sean. Kingston's mother, who was described as her son's operator, fixer, and accountant, also has a history of fraud. So this is quite the bad look, bro. But you know, we talk about modern economics and scammers and the like. So that was kind of the reason why I wanted to broach this topic, just to kind of get your thoughts on what you can make of what's going on here with Sean Kingston. This is the epitome of down bad.
Yeah, I think this is more or less a testimony of people's just mentality, man, of what they prioritize. You know, there's people like him all over the world, all over the United States, where they want something for nothing. You know, even his song that blew up or whatever, that pretty much got him on the map or whatever. It was I looked it up, man, and you know, I guess y'all can't quote me on this, but I think I'm pretty firm in my stance here in the situation that he was put on. You know, he's not really that talented. They tried to make something out of this guy. This was happening during the wave of Miami, and Miami was blowing up, and you know, so they was looking down here for talent, and they thought they found something in this guy, and they tried to make something out of him, but he just wasn't good. And he's just been riding off of that one song the whole time. He doesn't come off as a guy that put in the hard work. So, because he had all the opportunities. So basically what I mean by that is he could have been another Flow Rider. Now, Flow Rider, I mean, he's not making songs now, but he was put in the same type of position Sean Kingston was, but Flow Rider was actually out here working and, you know, collaborating and making stuff. And Sean Kingston just fell off. And so now me hearing all his background story of him, fronting and doing this and that, trying to keep up the persona of the lifestyle, I'm not surprised. And he's not the only person that does this. But you got to pay these people back on the back end. I don't know how many people he was doing this to, you know, just with the scamming with it. But, you know, once people get into this situation where they're down bad, and there's no immediate consequence, they feel like they can keep doing it. So he's just been doing this over the years. And I think this is just a symptom of people trying to live some kind of life. And he had the access to do this. If other people had the same access as him, you know, they'd be doing the same damn thing. You know, so there's all kinds of white collar crime. I know celebrities to do this. Okay, so to me, I guess he felt like he can just do it as well. But you know, at some point, you got to pay these people back. I mean, you got to pay him something. And for him to not even make a social media post, I mean, that's outrageous. But yeah, man, you trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to have what everybody else got, trying to live beyond your means. It's not the way to go. No matter if you're Sean Kingston or you work at Chipotle. Yeah, man, you gotta keep everything in balance, keep everything in line, be realistic about where you're at. Don't take on endeavors that you know you can't back up. And this guy was biting off more than he can chew. I'm pretty sure some part of him wanted to do it, but then once he already had the whatever in his house, he was like, the hell with it. I'm gonna just sit around and not do any damn thing. So it sucks, man. But you know, his mom was his manager basically, so he ain't had nobody to really kick him in his ass. You know, there's a lot of enabling going. So wild story, man. It's hard to feel sorry for a guy that had all these opportunities, had all this access, and decided to do this with his life. You don't want to see nobody get bammed up. You don't want to see nobody go to jail, man. But at the same time, man, you gotta, if you got such a great responsibility, man, you gotta look after it. So it's only so bad I can feel for this dude. You don't want to see it, but hell, man, that's how I go out here. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Sean Kingston around here, man? Potentially getting locked up for decades, they say. What are your thoughts, man?
You know, it's amazing how much people want to be paid to do nothing. You know, one of the things that the internet has illuminated for us since the proliferation of social media, it has illuminated us on just how much people really don't want to do shit, but still want to be able to live the kind of life they want to live. They want to do things lavishly. They want to take trips. They want to be able to possess materialistic, worldly items. They want to be able to live in large houses. They want to be able to run in highbrow social circles. They want to be able to just do these things. But ideally, they want to be able to do them without outputting any work. You know, everyone is trying to copy the social media influencer formula. Now, as with every microeconomy that we know of, only a small percentage of the people who try to go into that microeconomy are going to be truly successful. The rest of it is going to be an oversaturated market of people trying to, take bites out the same apple. But whether it's social media influencers, whether it's gym influencers, I see it all the time. People show up in my cheap commercial gym with a tripod trying to get internet clout. Whether it's people trying to make a career out of playing video games, Twitch streamers and things like this, setting up cameras, getting a Twitch account, building a community to try to get money and create a lifestyle for themselves and earn a living off of playing video games. I think the internet has highlighted that no matter the context, people are very quick to leap to gravitate towards ways to maintain their livelihoods without having to actually do work. People have become lazier, and they truly desire to earn a living off of doing nothing. I don't care if it's OnlyFans, Instagram modeling, or actual sex working. You can say sex work is real work if you want. I don't care what rationale you choose to use. People like to be paid to do nothing nowadays. That is one thing that the internet has shown. Now, again, very much like last week when we talked about the OnlyFans chick who's been charged because of a sex act that went wrong. One of my talking points with that topic was OnlyFans didn't create sexual deviancy, but it has contributed to creating an environment in which people's indulgence in sexual proclivities is more greatly exacerbated. The internet, social media, and these various technological vessels didn't create the advent of people wanting to be paid to do nothing, but they have exacerbated the dynamic of people wanting to be paid to do nothing. But at the very least, it has illuminated, highlighted the reality that people just don't like working for nothing. And you think that that's just working class people or poor people, brokies, as the internet likes to call them. But no, it's rich people too. People with money and resources, people who have actualized in various ways, they don't want to work either. Yeah. They want to put in minimal work and still be able to maintain whatever livelihood they want, despite what you might think is the contrary, given what they've done, given the fact that they have a career. You'd think that they would be comfortable with the notion of work. But no, even people in positions such as him are very comfortable with the notion of scamming off the top. Because the more you're scamming and the more you're able to scam successfully, the less actual work in the studio you have to put in.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel you, bro. Like, you know, he was a flash in the pan when he first came out. But I feel like for the most part, he kind of just faded off into obscurity. Like outside of a guest feature here and there as a solo artist, I'm not really sure what momentum that he had. He was just kind of around. But outside of that initial front, he wasn't really doing much musically.
But he still had a backing, at least to me, in my opinion. He had a backing to be a pop star. I mean, you don't do a song with Justin Bieber if you don't have that kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Situation going.
Yeah, I agree. And what you just said was evidenced by the fact that he could still pop out on a feature.
Yeah.
And the song would be a hit. And he was a guest feature on the song. So the potential was always there, but there was never consistency outside of when he first came onto the scene. And call me crazy, but looking from an outsider's perspective, I kind of feel like if I'm not seeing anything that you're doing, I'm going to conclude that you must not be really doing that much. And so if you're not doing that much, yet you're still able to maintain a livelihood, it begs the question, how are you able to maintain that livelihood, even though I don't really see you putting out work? Where are the albums? Where are the singles? Where's the songs? Where's the music? So it doesn't matter whether it's a middle-class person, a highbrow person, rich people, wealthy people, brokies, poor people, everybody in between is looking for the next come up, the next opportunity to scam off the top, the next opportunity to make money and do something without having to actually do any work. People have become so lazy and desensitized towards the notion of putting in hard work that to even suggest that a person get it off the muscle almost becomes a laughable concept to a person who has mastered the art of being able to make money off of doing nothing.
Yeah.
I have seen the goofiest things that people do, and they're eating. Influencers on the internet, social media people, Snapchat people I've never heard of, yet can somehow afford to live in a luxury condo in downtown Miami. Off of what? Posting pics to Snapchat?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, bro. I was born too late, clearly. I mean, too early.
You born right on time, dog.
I know. I'm being facetious when I say that. But yeah, this is a weird world that we're living in, and I believe that we are currently, well, no, maybe the golden era was maybe 5 years ago or so, but I still think that we are coming down from the golden era of, earning a living off of doing nothing, making money from doing nothing, maximizing off of a healthy income without actually contributing to society in any meaningful ways. I feel like the height of that was maybe 5 years ago, but we're still in the blast radius for being able to do that. And so you look at a guy like him who was clearly scamming for an extended period of time, and he's a byproduct, a child of that kind of mentality, where it's like, okay, we were able to get this far. Now, how can we, proliferate this and continue to do everything we want in life without actually having to do anything? And in the process, we get to lie and cheat and scam people. So, major shouts out to the people who still believe in putting in work. But yeah, we got a whole society of people in the world, man, who just want to be able to earn a living off of doing nothing. And I think that he was trying to figure out ways to do that, and there's plenty more where that came from.
Yeah, man. Scamming is like stealing. It's like the lamest stuff out there, man. I don't really get down with scammers. I don't know how they live with themselves. I don't know how they sleep at night knowing that what they got on their wrist is stolen. What they're driving is stolen.
Yeah, but you speak from the perspective of a person who has integrity, who has ethics, who lives with principles. And I think what you have to understand is a lot of people these days don't care about that stuff. They don't.
I hear you, man. And I think what goes on with those people is that I think they're haunted by it still. And so, because those people are never really in a good. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you sat down with Sean Kingston at the height of his scamming, I mean, rollie on the wrist. You sit there and you try to have a conversation with him, and you say some stuff that is, above board and with honor and integrity, and you say it because that's how you feel about life. There's something in him. I think it's in all people for the most part, unless they're a genuine sociopath. I think it's in most people where they have this thing of, man, I wish I could think like that. I wish I could stand on, my business like that. Damn, I wish I could drive a car that I actually paid for, and then they'll go right back to scamming or whatever. But I think there's something in people. And I think that those shadow dark things is what drives these people to keep living further and further. It's like, how do people keep going further and further down this rabbit hole when they're doing something that they knew they shouldn't? Is that I think it's like, I don't know what this is called. I'm sure there's some type of a mental situation where somebody just feels like a hopelessness or hey man, I'm already down bad. What's one more? Somebody that's struggling with their weight or whatever. Hey man, what's one more?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the finesse and the stealing and the scamming. It's like, bro, I already got a whole bunch of things,
I don't know, bro. I kind of feel like you have to have a soul to process information in that way. I think a lot of people who are scamming and they enjoy it, they have no soul. So I don't really think that they process it like that. They're not saying, because people who are struggling with weight and they say, what's one more Cinnabon? They feel bad when they're eating the Cinnabon and they know that they're doing wrong, but they're dealing with an addiction of some sort. But then there's the people who are like, overweight and they don't give a damn. And they're just like, I'm not doing anything wrong by eating this Cinnabon. Who are you to judge? Don't body shame me for eating this Cinnabon. And so I kind of feel like a lot of people who are on this wave of scamming, they don't really, I'll put it to you like this. I think a lot of people who scam, they find a strange roundabout way to make themselves a victim, to explain why they're doing what they're doing. The world owes me this, and that's why I do it. So they don't feel guilt. There's no guilt associated with their decision to do it because they feel like they are merely acquiring what is owed to them
by doing nothing.
Yeah. I would imagine that some chick who does OnlyFans, who makes a lot, she can be making a lot of money or no money, but she's on OnlyFans. I would imagine that a lot of these chicks who are on OnlyFans, who do it, they feel like they're doing it because they have no options. And they feel like they're doing it because the world owes them a bag and they refuse to go and work for it. But because they feel like they still deserve it, they're going to do this. And how do they rationalize it? By coming up with some quasi philosophy to explain it. Oh, this is my body. I can do whatever I want. My agency is whatever. I don't care. I can do whatever I want. We're not living in the past anymore where I'm defined by my sexuality. All of this weird old logic that people come up with to rationalize why they do dumb shit.
I only show my feet.
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. And I do think that there's people who commit to living this way who do feel some sort of a buyer's guilt. But I think the majority of people in his position, when you're doing it to that extent, where you're on hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can't even make a social media post. How hard is that?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
That's not hard to do. Like, why does somebody have to pull teeth for you to make a couple posts and post them to your Instagram?
Especially if you got this watch or whatever the hell it is. And the only thing you got to do is just, you know what I'm saying? And add them.
Yeah, he's walking around. He's walking around thinking to himself like they don't deserve they don't deserve the gratification of me posting on their behalf. you should be thankful that I even let you give me your stuff. Just the height of arrogance and narcissism. Like that's how I feel like that's how I feel like a lot of these scammers look at the world. They're not really processing it in terms of any sort of buyer's remorse. It's just, this is what's owed to me, and the world won't give it to me. Therefore, I'm going to take it by any means necessary.
It's crazy. Yeah, and that's pretty valid, man. That's one industry, bro. Industry, if you want to call it that. That's just one area, man. Scammers, scammers and thieves. I just can't wrap my brain around how they live their life like that. But hey, man, Sean Kingston, because this stuff's been brewing for the last couple years, man. So I guess the hammer's finally done come down on him.
Yeah.
So again, you don't want to see people live like this. And I guess his logic was he's ripping off these large corporations, not individuals.
Correct. Yeah.
So he's getting his.
Yeah.
But hey, man, when you dealing with them folks, they gonna want their money, man. So yeah, man, harsh lesson. But I'll just say anybody else out there, man, and you just feel this obligation, man, just do the social media, TV or whatever, man, where you constantly have this comparison lifestyle, man. I would just say that just try to rein that in as much as possible. I know it's difficult. You'll see something and you'll go, well, damn, I do want a McLaren. It's like, okay, well, you can't have a McLaren, but then you'll see a Tesla. Oh, I want to, if that's how life go. I get it, man. But don't injure yourself in the process of trying to have nice things, and be content wherever you're at, man. Because clearly, Mr. Sean Kingston wasn't content where he was at.
Yeah. So y'all let us know in the comments, man. Let us know what you think about this one. Is Sean Kingston being done wrong? Is he being done dirty? Did he do it to himself? Are we off? Am I off talking about scam culture? Let us know what you think, man. I just think that he is a child of scam culture. And I think largely these people have no soul.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't think they have a soul. I don't think these sex workers have a soul. I don't think any of these people have a soul. Shouts out to Terrence McClendon and of course my man Dudley in the chat. Dudley said, "Damn you decency, you fool my man Dogon at every turn."
Hey man.
Yeah, it is mental gymnastics, man. People go through it, but yeah, I just think scammers are what they are, and what are you gonna do? And on a somewhat related note, Marvin Sapp, who's big, he's big in the gospel music scene. He's I don't think he's a televangelist. I think he's just like a Kirk Franklin type guy.
Yeah. He's a preacher, singer, all that.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a Kirk Franklin type guy. And a video has resurfaced recently that has gone viral of him being at a church convention. And, he was sort of trying to get the audience in attendance to donate and raise a particular amount of money. But the way he went about doing it has kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. So we'll get into it. But again, this is a clip that has resurfaced from last year, and it's gone viral. And in the clip, he's basically telling the ushers aggressively to close the doors as a way to try and get people to donate at this particular convention. And we'll play some video of this situation. But this says gospel star Marvin Sapp says he received death threats after viral close the doors video resurfaced. Bishop Marvin Sapp says he has received death threats as a result of the resurfaced viral clip where he ordered ushers to close the doors at an international church convention while rallying for the congregation to donate $40,000. During an interview on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show on Monday, the Grammy-nominated gospel artist called the situation a misunderstanding, but said he was little more assertive than I should have been while raising funds for the convention. He added that the reaction to the video has led to safety concerns. So we'll skip through the quotes because we're actually going to play the video. Sapp serves as the senior pastor of the Chosen Vessel Church, which is based in Fort Worth, Texas. He explained that the threats have been a burden on his children. In the video, Sapp called on churchgoers in the building and those watching online to help raise $40,000 by giving $20 each. The controversy stems from a viral video in which Sapp speaks in front of the congregation at the 109th Pentecostal Assemblies for the World Convention in Baltimore, Maryland last July. Additionally, he asked preachers standing beside him to give a $100 contribution. Giving is worship, he said. It sparked plenty of interest online with memes, parodies, and criticism abounding on social media. Some people argue that he held the congregation hostage. In a statement on his Facebook page last Wednesday, Sapp provided additional context behind his request for money. He said that as a minister, fundraising was part of his job at the international convention, calling it stewardship rather than manipulation. On the Ricky Smiley show, Sapp shared his perspective on the now viral request he made to ushers. Sapp doubled down on his stance that the whole dilemma was a misunderstanding and clarified that although it is unclear how much money was raised for the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, Inc., he didn't receive any of it. Not a dime of that money came to me. The Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, Inc. issued a statement Saturday apologizing to those who may have been offended by the manner of receiving donations. It is never our intent for our proceedings to be an offense or hindrance for anyone. The statement reads, fundraising is a critical component to the success of our nonprofit organization, and the funds raised are utilized to support not just this event, but our extensive international missions work, auxiliary programming, additional educational endeavors, and more. So we'll go ahead and stop that one. And what we'll do now is play a clip from Sapp's appearance on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, which also includes a brief clip of this, assembly from last July where he was telling ushers to close the doors, trying to raise money from this congregation.
Number one, that offering was taken last year. This was a service that happened last August. Number two, it didn't happen at my local church. It actually happened at a national organization's international meeting where churches from all over the country, all over the world came together for the purpose of celebrating the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. People took issue with me saying, shut the doors. Understand, I never said lock the doors. Yeah, I said shut the doors. Shutting doors mean that people still have the ability to go in and out. They've taken issue with the tone. And I can honestly say, looking at the video, maybe I was a little more assertive than I should have been. And I can apologize for that. I could apologize. The $40,000, if it was $40,000 that was raised, was never given to me. That money was raised for the purpose of taking care of the budget for their conference, not Marvin Sapp. Number two, it didn't happen at my church. It happened in Baltimore. Number three, people take issue with me being firm with the ushers. Anybody that goes to church, ushers one-on-one, that's the first thing they teach you as being an usher, is that there are 3 times you don't walk. You don't walk during the altar call. You don't walk during prayer. You don't walk during the offering. One of the reasons being is because of the sacredness of the moment. But it's also about security. As a pastor, we understand and we know that churches are being robbed at gunpoint. It's happening all over the country. This is not something I'm making up. This is factual. The reason why I'm here is because what has happened is people have taken clickbait and made something out of it that it isn't. And because of that, my church has been getting phone calls. People have called my church and cussed me out. My staff are afraid because I've received death threats over $20 and shut the door. People have come to our campus. They have come to my church to try to cause problems, issues, challenges. And again, my children, I don't look at comments. We used to talk about this. You know, I don't read comments. When you got millions of followers, you ain't got time to be reading all the comments. You just don't have it.
Right.
My children do. And they are afraid.
There's 1,000 of you. I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed. I just think $20 is a lot of money. $20, believe it or not, when my late wife, Melinda P. Sapp, was alive, was a good date. I could take her to the movies, buy a box of popcorn, get 1 soda, 2 straws. I wasn't cheap, that's swag.
All right, there you go. Boy, I'll tell you one thing. This guy, he is so anointed by the Lord that he couldn't have foreseen the shitstorm he'd be getting himself into. By conducting that particular offering in that way. So, you know, what do you make of this, man? Are you buying his explanation? You know, he says he's getting death threats. He says maybe he shouldn't have been as assertive, and he got into he tried to wordsmith his way out of it by, you know, delineating the difference between lock and shut. But, you know, what do you make of this whole thing, man? This guy is sitting around wondering, why am I trending in the wrong way for something that happened last year?
Well, I really think that his whole little situation there with Ricky Smiley, you know, just a whole bunch of gaslighting. Just a whole bunch of gaslighting. You didn't see what you saw. Flip it back. Now I'm the victim, y'all. You know, now me and my congregation are receiving unaliving threats. You know, woe is us. And he spent a large majority of his time on Ricky Smiley speaking about how much money he makes, how much money he has made, you know, from his gospel career and from his other endeavors of investments and stuff like that. So he was basically trying to get at, like, he don't need 40,000. So
Right.
40,000 ain't for him.
Right.
This is the part, and so which is fair. Here's my rebuttal to that. My issue with this, and I think I'll speak for myself. The issue that I had with this situation is it's the spirit of asking people for money like that, low key demanding it. In a situation where they're acting as if they're collecting that money for a higher power or whatever. But this is been historically taxing the Black community. I don't know the figure. I should look it up. When you get to talking, I'll look it up. About how many billions of dollars get donated or tied to Black churches annually. But it is a dumb number. And that money that is being taxed from our community year after year, where does it go? Does it build mega churches? Does it fund lifestyles, cars, shoes, gators, you know what I'm saying? Minks, you know, multiple bedroom homes. You know, this clip, the reason why I feel as though it went viral, even though it happened last year, is because that clip literally crystallizes the stereotype that goes on in these churches. And a lot of people, if you know what I'm saying, you know, Black people, man, we done been to churches, you know, in the community. We done seen these things happen where you know, the whole time. This the third time they done passed the plate during service. You know, they just keep passing the plate. They just keep passing it. Then they asking for the guests and the you know, who'd you bring? You know, hey, sign up to be part of the church. You know, everybody that donated, come up here. You know, just getting weird. All kinds of extortion tactics. You know what I'm saying? And then the money, I'm sure, gets embezzled and it doesn't go to the Lord. So this guy here, you know what I'm saying? Although he may not need the 40,000, what he is doing is he's participating in the practice. He's so used to it. He's so used to getting the money up out of people. You know, it was a situation where he was like, you know what, I'm gonna get 40, you know, I'm gonna get 40,000 out of these people today, you know, to pay for this convention or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? And by hook or by crook. And you know, $20, that's not that bad. So to me, I really feel as though this played right into the stereotypes. This is why people are moving away from the church, amongst other things. But one of the biggest things that that I know that would turn me off was the fact that these guys live lifestyles better than their congregation. And historically, what I was told as a young person was like, hey, man, this guy's ordained by the Lord. So, you know, it's only right. He's out here giving a message. So it's only right that he look good and drive clean and stuff like that. But that stuff never jived with me. It never made sense. And I never got down with that. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I've seen the memes. There's some funny stuff out there, man. And I think a lot of people didn't care for his assertiveness. So, I'm online with the online criticism. I agree with it. I feel as though that, this just helped, expose what goes on in every church that I've ever been a part of. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Sir Marvin Sapp around here saying that, hey, man, him and his congregation are receiving unaliving threats all because of a Euro video, man? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, as somebody who grew up in the Missionary Baptist Church,
That's right.
I am no stranger to the aggressive nature that the church can conduct itself when offering time comes around.
Mm-hmm.
So this to me was familiar territory, honestly, when I watched it, because my church used to do the same thing. And my church, and listen, I think churches do this kind of stuff, but growing up in my church, the pastor during offering time would insinuate that not contributing an offering or a tithe, or contributing a meager offering or no tithe at all, was not acting in accordance with God's will, as if to suggest you should or must give more, or else you will fall out of favor with the Lord. And so I think some of that stuff used to put undue pressure on a lot of people in the congregation to contribute more during offering in ways that they were otherwise uncomfortable with, because this man who's ordained says that we'll fall out of favor with God if we don't do this, and we don't want to fall out of favor with God, so we should do this, which honestly speaks to a lot of people in the community's devotion to the church historically, that kind of rhetoric is so influential that it would sort of motivate us into acting in that way. But I've been there and I've heard it, so I was not unfamiliar to this. It was cringe to hear it, but again, it's familiar territory. I think the reason why people took issue with his delivery, and this somewhat goes back to the last topic that we talked about with Kingston, I think people nowadays are like more on alert when it comes to the potentiality for grifting. I think people are more alert now than ever with scammers, scam artists, people who don't act in good faith, and people who are grifters. And I'm reminded of people like Umar Johnson.
That's right.
And you highlighted a crazy story when we talked about Umar a couple weeks ago, where you were, you sort of believed in his tenets and you were ready to commit to something. And then you get to an event in person and you realize it wasn't what you thought it was.
Not even close.
Yeah. And you came to the realization at that point that this individual had been grifting. And he was sort of using his platform to grift in a way that would earn him money and get him a living, which you found to be very disappointing once you realized that that's what it was. Now, I'm not saying that that's what all churches are doing. I'm not suggesting I'm not suggesting that that's what my church was doing. I'm just saying that in this day and age, that kind of assertive approach to a church offering might sort of perk people up and have them wondering how much of this is or is not a grift. When you talk about closing doors.
Right.
So, so what I can't leave unless I
yeah, what are you saying?
Because like my first reaction to that is gonna be, so you saying I can't leave this room unless I give an offering?
Right.
Like that's kind of wild business to do it that way.
Right.
And here's where I will give him a little bit of credit. I don't think he realized that people would take it that way, because he was being no different than my pastor in my church when I was growing up.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, my pastor used to do the same stuff. And from his vantage point, he's saying, I'm being stern, forthright in my charge and what I'm put on earth to do. And so I'm righteous in my cause as a result. But some people, especially nowadays when scamming is at an all-time high, some people are going to be alerted to that, and they're going to be like, bro, what you mean close these doors? What you mean? What do you mean close the door? Like, I'm here, ain't I? You ain't got to have the doors shut. I came to be here. That was a convention. Conventions aren't free events. So people paid to be there.
That's what I would assume.
So like, unless there's a special convention that's free to the public, but every convention that I've known of, and I used to work conventions for a living, that's an attendee event. You pay to get into the door. So if I'm committed at that point, no need to tell ushers to shut the door so that I give you my offering. So all the way around, I can understand why people were rubbed the wrong way by it, honestly. I don't think he intentionally, I don't know that he intentionally meant for it to be that way. But at the same time, man, a lot of these pastors, they feel so emboldened by their cause that they'll just, they feel like they are righteous enough to be assertive in ways that may or may not make people feel uncomfortable. But like I said before, my main takeaway from this is I believe we are at the height of scam culture. We're at the height of grifting culture. We are at the height of all kinds of people running up on you and asking for you to donate to their cash apps. People who say, give me money for this and give me money for that. Hey, I'm a traveling musician. I play the banjo. Let me force you to listen to me play this banjo. And then if you're so inclined, please donate to my cash app. Like this kind of stuff, quasi panhandling, is at an all-time high, that this kind of behavior can potentially set people off. Yeah. And it can just rub people the wrong way. So, take it from a guy. I grew up missionary Baptist. I grew up in the church. I used to see it all. Somehow, some way, the offerings used to last an extra 5 or 10 minutes every Sunday. I wonder why, and I feel you on the bad look that the pastor driving around in a Range Rover can have.
Kind of crazy, bro.
I feel you on that. It's like, I get that you need to earn a living too. But what I was gonna say when you were saying that is, does it have to be that clean?
Yeah, does it have to?
Like the church that my mom goes to right now, I won't mention the name of it, but the pastor drives a Range Rover.
Yeah.
And not the sport, the big body, the real deal. Not the sport Range Rover, the big one, the one that costs damn near 6 figures.
But the sunroof.
So, all of that. Yeah.
Right.
Probably got the whole technology package with the trim. With the trim. So yeah, I get that, man. That's a bad look too. All the way around, it just is what it is. But we're at the height of grift culture and scam culture, and so people might not be so welcoming and inviting of those kinds of tactics.
Yeah, I agree, bro. And this is why I was my last thing, bro, is also I had looked up the figure, loosely looking it up. But according to Google, they're saying that the black church, it collects 11.5 billion to 19 billion a year annually.
I believe that.
Annually.
Yeah.
And to me personally, I look at that as now tithes are supposed to be something that you give 10%.
Yeah.
So you're giving of yourself. You're giving up, so you're not being selfish. And then that money is supposed to go to God's people. And one of the things that go on in these circles of wealthy people is that they are aware of cosmic laws of cause and effect, vibration, reciprocity, a whole bunch of other things. And one of the cosmic laws out there is that you can't just have everything to yourself. So one of the things that these people love to do when they're billionaires is be a philanthropist. And they give money and they donate money to causes that they run or whatever, but they still donate money. It's tax write-offs, it's other incentives why they write it off. But they come off the money, because if you don't come off the money's going to come off of you. So you have to give, or you're just going to lose it. So the whole premise behind tithing is nothing wrong with that. Actually, it's a universal kind of law. You have to do it. So, but when people are sitting there doing it, they're doing it on church services. They're doing it because there's people that look at it like how I explained it, like, hey, you just give it, whatever, go to God's people or whatever. And then there's some people that just literally feel like they're being extorted. Because the preacher sit there and say, hey, man, if you don't come up off this money, you're not going to receive no favor from God.
Right. Yeah.
So at this point, now they're feeling guilty. Now it's like a chain letter we used to receive back in the day. I used to hate them damn things. Somebody sending me a thing, hey, man, you read this. Now you got to send this to 10 people. And if you don't send it to 10 people, then you're going to have XYZ for. So whenever I receive a chain letter, I would not read it. So I won't, you know what I'm saying? Self-jinx myself. But when the preacher, the Mr. Ordained man, is sitting there saying that if you don't give 10% or give more, you know what I'm saying, you're not going to receive any blessings. And when people walk out of that place, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, that eviction notice finally got on the door. Oh, no, preacher man said this was going to happen. Yeah, he said this was going to happen. And the reason why your ass is getting evicted because you kept giving them all your damn money for A. And B, you're not getting this eviction notice because God's not looking out for you. You need to go get a job. So the whole thing is that they play on people, and so they play on people, and that's why you'll see that there's a certain type of demographic that pretty much goes now. It's people that's either always been going or in a certain age group or something like that. My aunties, grandma, all of them, they all going to church. And so because that's kind of what it is now. The younger generation of people, I think there's they can see that. They can see some of that. And also there's a whole bunch of other things coming out, another influences that are coming around that are, taking them away from the church. And whenever they see stuff like this, it reinforces the same reasons why. That's why I don't go. That stuff right there, because it's that 40,000. If they even raise that, it's just going to that convention, and they can say they're using it for education and stuff like this and all this other stuff. But when we're talking about 11 to 20 billion dollars annually that's being collected, our community can really use that. And there's churches that are sitting there, especially in Tallahassee, bro. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, especially over there by fam. There's a church on every damn corner. But at the same time, you know, there's junkies walking right across the street. The guy that's selling is right there. And I know they're collecting money. And that neighborhood don't have to be like that, especially if there's 4 churches in that area. But it's going to stay that way. So my whole thing is that if tithes were actually going to the community as they should, our circumstances wouldn't be the way that they are. But we giving all of this money, and these people are flying in jets, driving Range Rovers, and our people are still in situations where they feel like they got to act like Sean Kingston. So, yeah, man, I feel like this situation, the reason why it came out a year later and went viral, because it's everywhere now. And I really feel like the reason why it did that, because this type of stuff has to get exposed. I'm not totally against church. If you're listening to what Jesus said, I love you, damn it, because Jesus was on fire. You know what I'm saying? So the messages aren't bad. You just got to live a life. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, man, these guys right now, they're looking like people who pimp those words instead of living it like how they should. So yeah, man, I feel like this situation just highlighted it all. So hey, man, he can say what he want. Ricky Smiley can say what they want, but I know what I saw, and that looked like atypical church pimping to me. So
yeah, as far as I've seen, money that the church is able to raise via the congregation's contributions go to programs and initiatives that help make the church itself better,
right,
which serves to bring in a greater congregation, which
right,
serves to bring in more money to the church.
right.
Like, I'm not like to the best of my, well, not to the best of my knowledge, but every church that I've been a part of, you know, they've used the money to build a new facility and build a new sanctuary and build a new wing in a certain aspect of the church somewhere for a bigger Sunday school class. Like, there doesn't seem to be contributions to the greater community per se, not that I've seen. It's just been about, so I'm not saying that, you know, I wouldn't say that pastors per se pocket all the money,
right.
but I do think that the priority is having the money go back into the church to make the church itself better, which serves to increase the congregation, which serves to make the church even more money, I feel. So it kind of seems like it is, I don't want to use the term cash grab, but cash grab. It's a means to get more. It's a means to get a greater congregation, which I believe is a means to get greater, tithing and donation contributions. So it's a full circle type thing, but that's pretty much what my experiences has been with the church. I just think, moreover, as these generations of folks who are culturally devoted to the church begin to move on, and churches are now having to depend on younger generations who are a bit more selective and savvy with where their money goes and how they spend their time, they're not going to take so kindly to this aggressive nature that these institutions have historically gone about, getting money out of folks. Especially nowadays, man, there's so much going on with people. I get an email every day. I get a text every day. I get something from somewhere every day that's suspicious, asking me to come up out of money. People are so alert. People are so on alert nowadays with anyone who is asking them to give them money, that even stuff like the church can sort of just come off a little grifty at times. when it comes to how you ask for people to donate, when it comes to how you ask people to go about giving donations, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I agree, man. So hey, but let us know down in the comment section, y'all. Was I a little too harsh on Mr. Marvin Sapp here? Was your church experience different of that of JV wins? Please let us know down in the comment section. I'll be glad. I'll be pretty interested to hear what you guys got to say about it. But honestly, most of the conversation I've seen on the internet has been, I guess putting Mr. Marvin in his place enough for him to say, I can apologize for that. So yeah, man, I was a little out of pocket if you ask me.
Yeah, well, good for him. Good for him. Good for him. Kind of hard to not do that when everyone's saying that was kind of sleazy. So you still can't explain that Range Rover or that Benz though. So
Sheesh.
And now we got Mr. Terrence Howard, who is more known now for challenging the institutions of science and mathematics than being an actor. I feel like every other year or every other month, Tyler Perry goes back and Tyler Perry. Speaking of the devil, it reminds me. Terrence Howard, he goes back and forth between retirement and non-retirement. At one point, he says, "I'm done with acting." The next minute, he's in that thing with Kevin Hart and Samuel L. Jackson. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Just going back and forth. I know him more so for the hilarious impersonation that Jamie Foxx did of him that one time years ago that was just absolutely hilarious. But Terrence Howard once again is speaking out on his disdainment with the science and mathematics community because he's trying to push his new forms of thinking and technology, and the scientific community is pushing back against him because of how severely he is challenging typical scientific norms. And so what he is asserting at this point is he is going to take all of his resources and assets and everything that he has acquired, and he is just going to build his new society like the Atlanteans, where they can sort of develop their new ways of thinking independent on these old, crusty, dusty, concepts of math and science that, according to Terrence Howard, aren't actually true. And he's been getting a lot of pushback from people in the scientific community for spreading misinformation and attempting to debunk things that are categorically, scientifically, mathematically factual, engaging in dangerous rhetoric is what I'm sure the scientific community has to say. And so he's at it again. Terrence Howard is saying we're going to build a new Atlantis, and if y'all don't like it, you're not welcome in our new community. So this says Terrence Howard slams science world for resistance and plans to build new Atlantis. Terrence Howard's ideology has been raising eyebrows lately. If it's not him announcing his retirement and suing former representation, he is sharing his own scientific theories. However, the science world has been displaying resistance to Howard's involvement and/or theories. In a new episode of the Demystify Sci podcast, Howard discusses his frustration with the community. Demystify Sci. Yeah, I did say that right. Demystify Sci. I'm looking at the resistance like, oh, you guys don't want to be a part of the future, Howard tells the podcast host. Okay, well, then we will build our own breakaway society and become the new Atlanteans. The actor has been stirring up controversy in the scientific community with his unconventional theories. His most debated claim asserts that the mathematical equation 1 × 1 = 2, a notion that directly contradicts fundamental arithmetic principles and has drawn sharp criticism from mathematicians and physicists alike. In May 2024, Howard appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience to elaborate on his theories, challenging widely accepted scientific concepts. He questioned the validity of the Pythagorean theorem and introduced radical ideas such as killing gravity and rejecting the existence of zero. These assertions, delivered with conviction, ignited widespread skepticism, with many experts dismissing his claims as pseudoscience. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson publicly refuted Howard's statements, acknowledging the actor's curiosity but highlighting the numerous scientific inaccuracies in his arguments. Tyson emphasized that Howard's theories lacked empirical evidence and reflected a misunderstanding of fundamental mathematical and physical laws. His response underscored the broader concern among scientists regarding the spread of misinformation, particularly when promoted by public figures with significant influence. Howard has also cited historical figures such as Nikola Tesla and Walter Russell In defense of his theories, he is suggesting that mainstream science has neglected or deliberately ignored their insights. His stance has fueled debate among alternative science enthusiasts, reinforcing skepticism among professional researchers who stress the importance of rigorous peer review and empirical validation. So that's the whole lot of word salad. So let me just go ahead and play this video.
Like, hey, you
So let me pause this real quick to fast forward it a little bit. And so, yeah, here's Terrence Howard rebuking the scientific community and saying we're going to build our Atlantis civilization. Oh, it did it not. It didn't like the fact that I fast forwarded try to fast forward.
I swear, bro. Elon Musk, you need to get your stuff together, bro.
All right, hang on, guys. Let me all right, we're gonna have to fast forward it while playing, so bear with me. These Twitter embed links, you gotta love them.
Yeah, man, that's your boy Musk, bro.
Yeah, my boy. I know.
like, hey,
My boy. All right, so here it is. Let's try this one more time.
and you see that foundation high pressure system to refold it back.
That's what they say is going on in stars, I suppose. That's what fusion is to some extent, right?
And if you could do it,
Can we make some stars?
We can
Yeah.
do it. We can do it. That's what the patents are for, and that's why I'm looking at the resistance like, oh, you guys don't want to be a part of the future. Okay, then we'll build our own breakaway society, and we will use this technology and become the new Atlanteans, or Numerians, because it has happened before. There were particular villages that were still using stones and rocks, and there were other civilizations that had 200,000 years ago that had, greater technology than we have today. And I think that's what's about to take place. I'm done trying to convince the world or trying to convince, because the evidence is there.
What's it going to take to build some of these technologies?
Just a group of collectives of people, we're doing it ourselves, starting it with the linchpin and the other applications, and just slowly build. And, I'm going to trust that the creator is bringing the proper people to allow this to happen. I'm just going to stay busy doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing. And people are now coming and joining. And the proof is getting out there. The truth is getting out there. We're going to turn a lot of these things into toys so that children can play with. We're writing books. I'm no longer trying to teach the adults you cannot fill a glass that's already full, but the children.
I saw some kid built a nuclear or a fusion reactor in his garage when he was in high school, right? Who was that? I don't remember the guy's name.
He's a nuclear kid.
It's available. He used parts he bought off Amazon or something. It was just insane.
All right, so the new Atlanteans. What do you make of the professorial Terrence Howard and his envision to build the new Atlantean society?
I mean, first of all, the host of the Demystify Sci podcast looks like he's on shrooms. Looks like the other girl's on shrooms too. That's a real trippy conversation. Hey, look, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm listen, man, my tinfoil hat is strapped on tighter than anybody else I know, man. All right. When I first heard Terrence Howard come out with his math stuff, I was like, okay, bro, you're missing me with this. But I got curious, so I started to listen more of what he started to say. And some of the stuff that he talks about is quite intriguing. It is quite intriguing. However, I don't trust him. This is how cults get started. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna build your own Atlantis. All right, y'all gonna move away, and then start building your own thing. I think that this is my Terrence Howard. My conspiracy cap is so tight that I don't trust you, man. No, I don't trust Terrence Howard at all. And here's what I feel as though that people like myself and and others, right? They understand that there's a such thing as big science. And that there's a lot of things in the scientific community that are just based on theory, but they are being presented as fact. And so we're being told these things repetitively and stuff like that, no different than a religion. And so science, big science in itself, is pretty much a religion. But the art of science is to challenge conventional thought and put it up against something else so you can actually find out either the real truth or even more rock solid theory. But there's certain things that are in science that they're saying that it is a fact, although it's still just a theory. And so, like the theory of relativity, the theory of gravity, the theory of this, the theory of that. These are all theories, but they'll look at you as like a fool if you say you don't believe in gravity. So there's been a interest in science over the last whatever years where people started to look into like the last decade or so. People started to look into the science of electromagnetism, electromagnetics, seeing how that corresponds with our bodies and other things in the world, things that Terrence Howard talks about as far as if there's one thing going on this side, then the polar opposite of that should be able to neutralize it. These are things that aren't really being talked about in big science, but people in the tinfoil hat community like to talk about. And so these are things that I was already, dabbling with, dipping my toe in it. I'm no scientist, a nuclear scientist, and nothing like that, But at the same time, I find that stuff very intriguing because I think there's a big everything. I think there's a big college, a big science, a big medicine, big. So I'm for whatever the truth is, put it that way. And so here comes Terrence Howard, who's a career actor. All of a sudden goes off the grid and say, you know what? I'm not going to be acting anymore. Now I'm going to be over here dealing with all this science. And now he's talking about all this stuff, And I'm like, why? Why now? And he's just this calling and all this other stuff. To me, I think it's another career path. We just talked about a grifter in the last situation and a scammer in the one before that. And I think that Terrence Howard is somewhere in between both in this situation here. And he's using science and people's intrigue of science nowadays to facilitate his own type of grift. So me personally, I think it is an interesting situation to challenge traditional science. I think that's awesome. And by challenging traditional science, we'll get off combustible engines. We'll get off nuclear power. We'll get off things that are making the earth a wasteland by challenging conventional science. So there's nothing wrong with that. However, I don't want it to be controlled by somebody who started in Hustle and Flow. You know what I'm saying? I want a real scientist, not somebody that's out here, parading around, because I don't really know what this man's about, honestly. So that's just me personally. But what are your thoughts, Sir JV Wins, on Terrence Howard out here saying that he's going to build his own Atlantis if the scientific community don't get down with what he's talking about? What are your thoughts, man?
I think he's watched one too many episodes of Stargate Atlantis.
Yes.
That's what I think. I don't mind challenging conventional science either. Challenging conventional science is, in fact, doing something scientific, which is the beauty of the notion. All of the scientific theorems that we have come to essentially believe in today started out as radical ideas until they were no longer radical ideas. And as you mentioned, they serve to challenge conventional ways that people thought about certain theories and concepts. So challenging conventional science, to me, there really is no such thing as conventional science. That to me is a specious term. Something that is scientific can always be further examined to discover whether there's a better way to go about thinking about it scientifically. It's an ever-evolving process. So from that standpoint, I take no issue with the idea of challenging science. That's what it's there for, to be challenged. If we discover at some point in the next 100 years that gravity is not what we thought it was, so be it. It is what it is. What's wrong with getting closer to what the truth of the matter is? However, personally, I do not have enough time in my day to challenge whether 1 times 1 is 1. Like that's my thing, is what are we doing here? Like I'm all for challenging the status quo, going up against the conventional norm, the conventional wisdom, getting closer to the truth. But there are certain things that I believe are fine where they are. I think 1 + 1 being 2 is fine where it is. I think 1 times 1 being 1 is fine where it is. I think the earth being round is fine where it is. What good does it do us as the human race to challenge stuff like that? Why? I think we're good with that. I don't need to think differently about math. I'm good. I'm okay with 1 + 1 being 2. So we can challenge the theory of relativity, E = mc squared, the Python, all of that, all of these theoretical constructs. If we want to go at those, I'm all good for that. I think I'm okay with basic math and arithmetic. and some of these people like Terrence Howard are forced contrarians who just want to be different for the sake of it. And so not only are they willing to go so far as to challenge conventional science, they also want to say even the way you thought about 1 + 1 is wrong.
Yeah, that's the part where he lost me, man. When he's saying 1 times 1 is 2, it's like, bro,
That's not the only time he's done that, though. He's done that with other basic understandings. And so my thing is like, well, bro, what do you want? Like, are you really trying to contribute to the world in this meaningful way? Or do you want to just carve your name in stone, etch your name in stone as the thing that Terrence Howard contributed to the world is being this ultra contrarian thinker?
Yeah, that's what he's trying to.
So there's a form of gratification and self-indulgence that you get knowing that people look at you and think of you as this contrarian thinker.
100%.
And that's the value that you get out of this experience. Is he really going to go and build the new Atlantis? I doubt it.
I doubt that.
And you know, to your point, when I was listening to him talk, it gave me David Koresh vibes.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
You're gonna drift off and sequester yourself and your people and build a new thing, isolated from everybody. That does sound very cultish.
It sounds a little cultish, bro.
You sound like a New Age Branch Davidian. That's what you sound like. Like you sound like the Black David Koresh.
Yes.
So, you know, it is what it is, man. I love science. I really do, because in this crazy world where everything is being up for debate, everything is being challenged. Every single thing is a conspiracy. Every single thing is not the truth, even though we thought it was the truth. I like science because science is the closest thing nowadays that we can get to truth. And I prefer to live in a world with more truth than not. So I've always been a fan of truth. And even if science aims to debunk something that I used to think was truth, it's doing it in the spirit of establishing a new truth, not furthering more rabbit holes and inconclusiveness, which is something that I think makes us more crazy and chaotic as a people. So I've always been a fan of science because of that. But do I need to challenge 1 times 1 and 1 + 1? I really don't. I got better things to do with my time. Like, I have bigger fish to fry. So if Terrence Howard is going to sit around here clubbing me over the head with basic stuff like water isn't wet and 1 + 1 is not 2, then I'm going to have to go and I'm going to have to pay attention to somebody else.
But water isn't wet. No, I'm just playing. Man, look, I agree, man. And that's the part about this that feels a little grifty to me, a little inauthentic. It just, I don't know. There's just something about this ain't right. I feel if somebody was really about that life, they was really on that stuff, they would come at this a lot different than how he's coming at it. You know, back in the day, science was spirituality, and spirituality was science. And the way that Terrence Howard is coming about it, he might say stuff like that too, but the way he's coming about it is coming off Marvin Sapphish. You know what I'm saying? It's you know, it doesn't sound like somebody that's in the spirit of it. It sounds like he has an agenda. And like you said, like he wants to be this guy that's known for this rather than actually doing the stuff, you know. So I've seen him actually debate actual scientists, and you know, listen, I'm actually low key rooting for him to win.
Right.
He's in there getting scolded because he don't know what the hell he's talking about. So yeah, I'm all down for science being challenged. You know, the science that we learned in school. I'm all down for that being challenged because I do believe that it has led to a world of waste, and I do believe that there's a cleaner way to do science. But the more conventional forms have driven us into this current world that we live in when it comes to how we do things.
Yeah.
So I'm all for the challenging of that, but I don't think Terrence Howard is the guy. I think he's the guy acting like he's the guy, and that's why I don't really care for it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you. Yeah, I feel that. There's a line, you know, and everybody recognizes what the line is. I'm all down for questioning things, but then there's the part where you just kind of cross the line and branch over into you're just doing this as an exercise, you know, where it's just like, you know, it's just, you know, the forced contrarian that no one likes that guy. You're just annoying, you know. You're just annoying, man. And look, I'm a contrarian, but within reason. And, you know, this kind of, you know, some of the stuff that I've heard him say ever since he's gotten on this, I've just kind of been like, bro, you're giving a bad name to all of the legit contrarians out there.
Agreed. Now that I agree with.
Shouts out to Terrence Howard, man. Good luck with your new Atlantean society.
Yeah, man. Crazy.
And last up, for what has been another fantastic addition to the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube, we are going to discuss Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu, who was recently awarded, what is this thing she was given? She was given well, let me just share the screen. She was bestowed an acknowledgement at Billboard for something noteworthy, but what drew people's attention is the outfit that she was wearing, you know, greatly exaggerated features and whatnot. So let me refresh this so that reloads. Not going to play the whole thing. So this says Erykah Badu's Women in Music Awards outfit sparks comparisons to ancient figures and BBLs. So she wore this outfit that greatly exaggerated her
assets,
her physique, her assets, and it's got a whole lot but she hasn't really clarified people on the intent. So everyone's speculating, you know, was she sort of paying homage to the traditional, you know, celebratory form of the female body, or was she making fun of BBL culture? Like, no one really knows what it is that she was doing. She hasn't really clarified. So this says Erykah Badu's Women in Music Awards outfit sparks comparisons to ancient figures and BBLs. All eyes were on Erykah Badu during her performance at the 2025 Billboard Women in Music ceremony. At the event on Saturday, which was March 29th, the neo-soul icon performed and accepted the Icon Award while wearing a thought-provoking bodysuit that caused a debate on social media. Some suspected the knit tuck ensemble was a reference to exploited and enslaved 19th century cohesion performer Sarah Bartman, while others thought Badu was poking fun at BBL culture. Although Badu hasn't explained the meaning of her bodysuit in an Instagram reel on Sunday, the 5-time Grammy winner shared that the full-figured form was her concept brought to life by designer Maya Hasbany. A Little Hippie, Rise of the Dark Divine Feminine, a short film by E. Badu, the Dallas musician, captioned the post. So here's, I'm not going to play this whole thing because it's a little long, but we'll play a little bit of this.
I gotta give her an A for creativity with that, though. Oh, hell no. Yeah, I think she might start a new thing for those people on OF, bro.
She might. She might. All right, so you get the point. You know, and yeah, so that's her right there accepting her award after she performed wearing this same outfit. You know, there was a lot, you know, there was some twerking and gyrating going on with her performance while wearing this.
Hysterical.
Yeah, while the interpretations are valid and completely up to perspective, it can also be argued that Badu's bodysuit was a reference to Upper Paleolithic Venus figurines. The most famous artifact is Venus of Willendorf, a handheld limestone piece discovered in 1908. The shapely pieces depict womanhood and fertility. So here's somebody who commented on it. I've seen so many critiques about this. And the BBL take is so lazy, which is also why journalism is more valuable than hot takes. Let's talk about Sarah Bartman, the sexualization and hypocrisy around Black women's bodies. So that was this one person's opinion. She's saying this how y'all look with BBLs, and then this is somebody else thinking that she's talking about BBLs. With Badu often performing in one-of-a-kind outfits, we can expect to see more unique fashion by the singer upon the release of her 6th album, which will be produced by The Alchemist. Now, that I did not know. Yeah. If her whole album is produced by The Alchemist, that would drive me to at least listen to it once.
Wow.
Because I am a fan of The Alchemist, definitely. So what do you think about this, bro? What do you think was the point that she was trying to get across here? What do you make of this provocative
Right.
ensemble that she had on here?
Yeah, this is provocative. It's a clean edgy. I haven't seen such a clean edginess before. To me personally, I think that it's both what they're saying, like that the Bartman woman and also BBL culture, because they're one and the same. It's both a spectacle and a sideshow, and this is what has gone on socially with our women, with the BBLs and exploiting themselves, self-exploitation of themselves sexually over the past couple decades. And it has really picked up over the last decade. So women coming to award shows naked, half naked, semi-naked, sheer coverings. So for her to come out here wearing this, basically saying that, to me, it was more or less bringing attention, of course, like in an over the top way, not so much like Boondocks, but in a way where it highlights, Dave Chappelle Boondocks. It wasn't funny per se, but it's highlighting our behavior in an ironic way that makes you think. And should we be parading ourselves around looking like this? Should we parade ourselves around being a spectacle? Because historically we were paraded around to only be a spectacle, and now we're choosing to do that. So to me, one of the cool things about art is that yes, it is up for interpretation. And one thing Erykah Badu is going to do is she gonna do stuff in a way where you are going to have to think about it and come up with your own type of interpretation. So, but me personally, the way I took that, it was a way of highlighting if this is how y'all look, parading yourselves around like that, especially at award shows. But to me, that's my initial thoughts on Miss Badu around here trying to send a message, I believe. But what are your thoughts on Miss Erykah Badu wearing the voluptuous bodysuit? What are your thoughts, bro?
I'm going to stick to the BBL angle. Whether her intent was to showcase the absurdity of BBL culture is irrelevant, in my opinion, because the fact of the matter is her doing it has opened the floodgates for the conversation around the absurdity of BBL culture. So whether it was her intent or not, in my opinion, doesn't matter, because the result is actually talking about and dissecting the absurdity of BBL culture. Mm-hmm. So, and in that way, I will say, I wonder whether said culture this is, it's one, I hope that this is the case, but I don't know if it's the case. It's just my hope. I wonder whether, BBLs and the mainstream appeal of it is either at or has or is nearing its crescendo.
And get started yet.
that is what I'm afraid of. I'm hoping that that's not the case, because man, I have seen a lot of horrific, extremely exaggerated forms of this, cartoonish looking,
especially in Miami, bro.
Which leads me to believe that this has to have reached its apex.
No, we ain't even close, dog.
I hope, man. I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I feel what you're saying, because it's just so everywhere. It's so prevalent. But like I said, man, whether she did it or not, to me doesn't matter, because it has people talking about whether her wearing that puts on Front Street how silly it looks.
Right.
Which to me is a victory in and of itself, right. Because most of the time it does look silly. But for me, I just take it a step further, and I just hope in my heart of hearts that we have reached the point with this thing where it's climaxed, and now we can start to experience the going down the other side of the hill, where we move on to something else and people stop doing this stuff, where women stop doing this stuff. But, what you said being the case, which is we haven't even reached the apex of it yet, could also very well be the case. I don't know which is which. This is just me trying to be less cynical about this than I usually am, and hope for the best.
Yeah, man. I really do. I think the young people, they are the future, and they have the opportunity to change this. Our cohort is done. Yeah, we're roasted. The ones right up under us, I think they're roasted too. So, it's gonna have to be the young people, the ones that are in middle school, just getting up in high school right now.
What's interesting, bro? Not to cut you off, but what's so interesting, because you bring up generations, right? So obviously, a large frame of reference for me socially is the gym. Because it's the place that I go to most often, in which a lot of people go. And so my social frame of reference is that place. And it amazes me, bro, how many middle-aged women I see in there with BBLs.
Right.
Like, it's not just our. So I feel you where you're saying the younger people, the youngest amongst us, have the chance to change this, because us and up, even older folks, middle-aged people, it's a wrap. And some of the women I see who get them, it's like you look like at the youngest, you're in your late 40s. You're in your late 40s. That, like, I give you no younger than 45 years old. and you have this thing, which means you were like over 40 when you initially got it, probably. So it just amazes me though to see that. Like you're approaching middle age range, you know, you're entering into you're getting to the point where you're gonna be having hot flashes and experiencing premenopausal stages.
Hey, man.
And yet they're on the BBL train. That to me is fascinating, to say the least.
I had to look it up, but yeah, Vivica Fox, she just recently went viral for her latest BBL. She's 60 years old. There's women in their 50s, strong, bro, getting BBLs. Trying to get the attention that they've been missing for half a century. It's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? And of course, bro, you know what I'm saying? We're living in 2025, you know, so dudes is gonna clap her up. So she's gonna feel like, you know what I'm saying, it was worth it. But those dudes would have clapped her up anyway. So this is my thing. So yeah, the young people, the most impressionable at this time. So of course, I mean, they're growing up in this world where this is already normal. So, you know, but I'm reserving hope, man, that they're just watching just how dumb everybody is and just choose a world that's different for them. That's what I'm really hoping, man. I hope they're really watching all of that stuff. Like for these rappers right now, that's all in their 20s, 30s, RP to Scooter, man. God damn. You know what I'm saying? That all these people out here dying for stupid stuff. So hopefully these young dudes that are in middle school, high school, elementary, they're just watching this stuff right now, can actually choose a different path. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, everybody that's you know, in their 30s, late 20s, they on this wave, dog. So if they're not gonna get a BBL, they're gonna get some type of cosmetic because they think that that's normal now. All right. So but yeah, conversations like this will help the overall culture, I would say, because everybody's doing it, bro. You see it down at the gym, I'm sure. It's Hispanic women, it's white women, it's
everybody.
Everybody's doing it.
It's and like I said before, the thing that I think is the craziest is it is 100% older. So like the girls who go in there who I can pretty much, you know, it's like they're no older than 24, 25, right? They're the ones that aren't, they're clean. It's the ones that look like they're mid to late 20s and older, 30 plus, 40 plus. They're the ones who walk in there with the BBL. It is not age restricted. It is not race restricted. It is an ethnicity restricted, white, black, Latino. I think I even one time saw an Asian chick come in there who looked like she had one. So it is not culture, ethnic.
Asians, Asians.
Yeah, it is not race, culture, ethnic restricted. It is generational, and I do hope that this is coming to an end, bro, because this is madness. And the last thing that I'll say, speaking on young people who have the chance to kind of do things differently, I was one time when I was seeing a behavioral therapist through my health insurance at the time, and you know, me and her would have our sessions where we would talk about stuff, and we often got on to conversations talking about my aversion to social media and why I'm very measured in terms of how much I use it and am on it, and it's very limited because I don't want to be corrupted by foolishness. And she talked about how there's this group of younger people. I think she said, I forget the name of the group. I got to look it up, but it's a group that originated out of New York, I think she said, and it's JITs. It's middle schoolers and like preteens, and they're like rebuking social media culture. So they're running around with flip phones because they don't even want to have phones. They don't want smartphones. They don't want anything where they can access the internet. They just kind of feel like it's sensory overload and it's become too much. And I would think that it would be some older generations of people who would start to adopt that kind of thinking. But she was like, nah, it's like middle schoolers and younger preteens who are kind of trying to get this new way started of we just gonna take it back to the old school, the primitive days of flip phones and Nokias, because we just don't want to be a part of this stuff that they trying to shove down our throats.
I mean, you see what it's doing to people. And that's, as a young person, I was very observant. So that's the part where I'm giving these young people credit. And you know, I have the idea, I have the belief that even though you know, people seem to be devolving, you know, so much evidence of that. All right. I do believe, you know, me personally, I do believe that new souls that are coming around are more evolved older ones. And so these young people they be on stuff, and we were sharper than the generation before us. The younger ones are even sharper, and I feel like the youngest ones are so sharp, and that's why they're being inundated personally so much with these distractions to take them off base. But I say this, they got the best shot of doing what you just said and observing from our sensory overloads and not wanting that for their lives, because they're seeing how everybody's becoming sociopaths and narcissists,
depressed,
and depressed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You name it, bro. It is going on right now, and it's because everybody got too much going on. And not enough people are taking their shoes off and putting their feet in the grass.
Yeah.
So, and BBL culture is a part of that. And so for the women that's running out there to save the money to go up under a knife, and for dudes that's out there lusting after plastic, y'all got too much going on, man. And it needs to be called out.
It really does.
It needs to be called out, man. Yeah. Hey, what do you guys think? Let us know down in the comment section. All right, what are your thoughts? What do you feel like Erykah Badu is trying to, display with this voluptuous bodysuit? Do you feel like it was a deeper meaning, or she was just being a troll? You know how she can be too. So let us know down in the comment section, guys. I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah, we would be, man. Whether that was her intent or not, I still think that it's a whole lot of insanity going on. And I just want the insanity to end at some point.
Yeah, man, me too, man.
But shouts out to Erykah Badu, real one in the game, man. She's a bit off the beaten path, but these days I think you need more of that.
Seriously.
You know. So yeah, shouts out to her, salute, and I'll be looking forward to that album. If it's produced by The Alchemist, like I said, I'll check it out at least once, man, because I hold The Alchemist in high regard.
So he working with Mos Def and Erykah Badu.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. But yeah, folks, that'll do it. Another video in the books. Another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Wrapped up nice and tight, sealed and delivered. I am JV Wins. That is Dogon S. As always, major shouts out to everybody who has been chiming along with us as we continue to grow this community out. Check me out on Instagram at JV Wins, JVWINS. Check out Conscious Approach on Instagram at Con Approach, CONAPPROACH. If you have not already done so, and this is your first time catching wind of what we like to do here on the channel, hey man, we have a whole content library, man. Go to the page. Hit the videos tab and just scroll through, because we drop gems and we just like kicking the tires and lighting the fire. So check out some of our older videos. Check out some of the videos that'll be uploading this week. If you have not already done so, subscribe to the channel. Leave a like button if you are so inclined, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think about any of our talking points in any of our videos, because we appreciate the engagement. As long as it is constructive, it does not have to be agreeable. We don't care about you agreeing with us. We just want it to be constructive. Again, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. We are also available in those places in audio form. So if you are not in position to check us out on YouTube, to check out the videos, give us a listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. So as I always like to say, don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. Think for yourself. We very much appreciate you checking us out, supporting the channel, watching our content. And until next time, salute.
Yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, Facebook, you know what I'm saying, MySpace, Metas. All right. There's a social media platform, Dogon SS out there. Like, subscribe, follow, and all that good jazz in there. All right. And as I say on every pod, guys, don't be too high. Don't be too low. Keep it calm. Keep it chill. Keep it plug. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, everybody, more rings than Robert Ory. We'll see y'all on the next episode.
That's right. Thank y'all. We are signing off. Thank you so much for the support. We'll see you later. Peace.
Peace. Go Heat, I guess.